There's literally no reason Spurs shouldn't be competing for titles on a consistent basis. They're a massive club in a massive city. They have a huge fan base. They have some of the best players in the world. And they have unique business connections that should allow them to spend as much money as anyone else. Yet Spurs can't seem to avoid embarrassing themselves over and over again. From barely managing to avoid the relegation zone, to Mickey van de Ven completely blanking his manager, to the farcical way that they ended up 3-0 down to Atletico Madrid within 15 minutes. And that's just this season. A quick assessment of the managers they've appointed over the last 10 years tells you they're not the problem too. Especially since when a manager finally does give them a trophy, they give him the sack in return. But that all stops now. Tottenham need a culture setter in charge, someone who can instill some passion, some resilience, and some ambition back into the club. And who better to do that than Roberto De Zerbi? The enigmatic Italian was named one of the most influential managers of the last 20 years by none other than Pep Guardiola. Not that being an enigmatic and influential Italian guarantees you success at Tottenham, and it'll be up to De Zerbi to prove Pep right, prove the doubters wrong, and finally cement Spurs as a true member of the Big Six and a team that clubs all over the world should fear. For those of you that are new to the channel, we like to keep things as realistic as possible around here. That means we play with 10-minute halves on legendary difficulty and with full manual controls. And every game is played with the latest version of my realistic slider set. However, throughout this series, we'll also be using my new realistic team selection companion tool. Running a realistic career mode save means selecting players based on their form rather than on their overall, but that's easier said than done. Those little numbers are just so hard to ignore. But that's where my realistic team selection tool comes in. Simply input information about your squad, then track their minutes played, goals and assists, and match ratings for each match day, and the tool will select a lineup for you based on how well they're playing, rather than how good the game thinks they are. The team selection rating prioritizes recent form, so players with the hot hand will be favored, but players who have logged a significant number of minutes may be rotated out due to fatigue. The team selection rating also considers player morale, but this feature can be turned off if you prefer. If you have a big match coming up, choose the high stakes match type and your important and crucial players will be more likely to feature, whilst low stakes games like early cup fixtures will see youngsters and fringe players make the starting 11. Plus, you'll also get to see how your team will look when they line up on match day. So if you like hyper-realistic career mode content, be sure to check out my realistic team selection tool. The link is in the comments, and make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can catch the next video of this series when it drops. Now, unfortunately for us, the team selection tool isn't exactly going to have a plethora of decisions to make for the remainder of Season 1. Spurs currently sit 16th in the Premier League and barely avoiding the relegation zone, but our injury list is extensive to say the least, with 9 first-team players currently out injured, including the likes of Jed Spence, Rodrigo Bentancur, James Maddison, and Kulusevski. It's absolutely mathematically possible, but realistically, I don't think Spurs are getting relegated this year. So we're going to jump forward to the summer and start this save from the 2026-27 season. Now, with everybody fit again, I think there are some glaring weaknesses we need to address. Vicario is simply not a reliable number one. Spurs have been pretty shambolic defensively for a while now. They've been unable to unlock the creativity of their midfielders, and I really don't like the thought of relying on Dominic Solanke to score 25 to 30 goals a season. Most importantly, though, I think we need to address the culture of this squad as much as the quality. We need players who are willing to run themselves into the ground, to put their bodies on the line, and to fight for the badge. So that means no more Kolo Muani, no more Yves Bissouma. That means no more Mohamed Kudus, and definitely no more Guglielmo Vicario. Xavi Simons has only been at Spurs 1 season, so he'll have a chance to prove himself, but he could well be on the chopping block too if he doesn't impress De Zerbi immediately. And the same goes for Mickey van de Ven. There are some Spurs fans who believe he's single-handedly getting them relegated this season, but his pace and his tenacity mean he could be one of the better defenders in the Premier League, and we've seen flashes of that potential already. So he'll be sticking around for the time being, albeit on a short leash. Say what you want about Pedro Porro and Christian Romero, but that's exactly the kind of passion we need running throughout this squad. Fortunately, after the departures of Bissouma, Vicario, Richarlison, and Mohamed Kudus, we have more than £250 million in the bank. We are going to convince Daniel Levy to finally open the checkbook. Priority one is a new number one, and Bart Verbruggen is just the man to lead this new Tottenham team from the back. De Zerbi managed Verbruggen at Brighton, and he knows better than anyone that this guy has the potential to become one of the best players in the world. But every great keeper needs some protection, and that's why De Zerbi's next target is the 24-year-old Nottingham Forest defender Murillo. He's setting us back a whopping 65 million, but the Brazilian has all the traits that we're looking for, and we already know he's going to be willing to run through a brick wall for his new manager. At 28 million, some might say we've overpaid for Nicholas Raskin, but I actually think he could prove to be a steal. The Belgian midfielder arrives from Rangers with a clear and simple task ahead of him: become a one-man engine room at the heart of our team. And finally, if we're going to be able to rely on Solanke to score goals this season, he needs creative players around him, which is why we're spending a further 60 million on Malik Tillman. The dynamic American has struggled to find a long-term home in Europe, but if De Zerbi can get the best out of him, he may well have found it at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Be sure to drop a comment below and let me know what you think of those signings, and if you want to have some influence over signings we make in the future, be sure to check out the Scout membership tier by clicking the join button on the channel homepage. So this is what the team could look like heading into our first full season. The new signing Murillo lining up alongside Van de Ven and Romero in a back three. A pair of midfielders utilizing players like Jed Spence, Destiny Udogie, and Pedro Porro as wide midfielders who are going to drop in to form a back five out of possession. And then we've got Dominic Solanke leading the line with those creative players James Maddison, Malik Tillman, Xavi Simons, etc. providing support. We're going to be looking to keep the ball and dictate the play, so utilizing the possession tactical preset along with the short passing build-up style, but we are also going to be pressing very, very high, trying to win the ball back in dangerous areas. We've got three big tests for this new look 11 immediately in the form of Liverpool, Manchester United, and Manchester City. I'll be showing you extended highlights of each of these games in today's episode. But of course, it's not up to us who starts in our opening Premier League game against Liverpool. We're going to be leaving that up to our realistic team selection tool. So having input all of the initial information about our squad, this is the lineup that's been selected for match. So a huge test immediately for Roberto De Zerbi and this new look Tottenham Hotspur 11. It's a familiar Liverpool 11 though. Here on match day one. No new signings for Liverpool over the summer, as Dejan Kulusevski immediately goes down. The pass from Pedro Porro not quite finding his teammate. It's going to be interesting to see how this system works on the flanks. We're going to need the likes of Jed Spence, as Dominic Solanke steals the ball away but can't take advantage of the opportunity by finding Xavi Simons. It is going to be interesting to see how it works down the flanks. We need Pedro Porro, Jed Spence to get forward and support the likes of Kulusevski and Simons. But we can't leave ourselves exposed at the back either, especially against the likes of Liverpool, who we know like to keep their wingers high. Ekitike gets the start today ahead of Alexander Isak. And Dominic Solanke leading the line for us today. They need to make sure that we supply him with plenty of opportunities, as Liverpool have done here with Ekitike, but Murillo reading it well, coming across, dealing with the danger. Nicely worked. And Kulusevski lays it out in front of Pedro Porro with men to aim for, one of whom is Dominic Solanke. Kanate beats Solanke to the ball though, and Alisson collects. We will be pressing high in this particular system, maybe not quite as high and quite as recklessly as Tottenham under Ange Postecoglou, but we will certainly be trying to win the ball back in dangerous areas. That's a really good challenge from Rodrigo Bentancur. The referee, I think, disagrees. Oh, and Murillo's given the ball away in a dangerous area. Mo Salah stealing it away. Hugo Ekitike trying to take advantage of the mistake. Van de Ven can't win the ball back, but Verbruggen makes a save, but Mo Salah is on hand to tap home the rebound. And already, just a single game into the Roberto De Zerbi era, we have shot ourselves in the foot. It's Murillo, the new signing, who gives the ball away in a dangerous area. It's a really good save from Bart Verbruggen. Just throwing a foot out to prevent the first attempt from opening the scoring. Can't do anything about the rebound though. Mo Salah on hand, taps it home. We are 1-0 down. 20 minutes in here at Anfield. Simons. Jed Spence outside him. Spence will drive. There's nobody to pull it back to. And Jed Spence just, in the end, pokes the ball towards goal. Alisson spreads himself wide and makes the save, but I'm not sure where Dominic Solanke was there. It was a great run from Jed Spence. As I was saying, I think the pace of Mickey van der Ven and Murillo is going to be a real asset for us at the back this season. As Xavi Simons does well to turn away from the Liverpool press. But again, we cannot pass through the lines. We've really struggled going forward so far in this game. I think we're seeing limitations, as Van der Ven puts in a great last-ditch challenge. I think we're seeing limitations of this system when we do have possession, because we are just being completely outnumbered in midfield. The three of Liverpool are completely dominating our two in Bentancur and Raskin. And it's getting us into some really dangerous situations as Liverpool crack the crossbar. Don't think Verbruggen had it covered if it was on target. Thankfully it wasn't. And the woodwork saves us and keeps it just 1-0 Liverpool. Liverpool piling on the pressure at the end of this first half though, looking to double their advantage. Zekatike brings it down. It's a comfortable save from Verbruggen to keep Florian Wirtz's shot at bay, as Arne Slot watches on. But it will be a Liverpool corner, aimed in the direction of Virgil van Dijk, who does rise highest. Nods the ball towards goal. There's Jed Spence and Murillo marking Van Dijk. Nice ball from Xavi Simons to find Jed Spence with a bit of space. Again cuts inside. Good feet from Jed Spence, and it opens up for him. He will continue to drive, and Jed Spence has equalised in spectacular fashion. 5 minutes from half time. What a run, cutting in off the left-hand side. It's the kind of run that I would expect somebody like Xavi Simons to make. But instead, Simons just occupies Connor Bradley, the right back, allowing Jed Spence the space to cut inside. Looked as though he was going to shape to shoot from the edge of the box. The Liverpool defenders content to allow him to do so, but instead he just continued the run all the way into the penalty area and buried it in the far corner to make it 1-1. 5 minutes from half-time, or on the stroke of half-time even. And we certainly do not deserve it, but we are going to be going into the half-time break level with Liverpool away from home. So making a very slight change to the system as we come out for the second half. Having Kulusevski drift wide a little more to ensure that he's in a position to provide support to Pedro Porro when he's in possession wide right, but also to give him a little more space to cut inside, as we saw Jed Spence do at the very end of the first half. And that is a miraculous save from Bart Verbruggen. Thankfully, the offside flag was up, and Liverpool going to make a change early here in the second half. But a fantastic save from Bart Verbruggen keeps things level. Thankfully, the offside flag did go up, so it wouldn't have counted anyway. But a fantastic save from our new number one regardless. Kulusevski spreads it wide to Jed Spence. It's a really poor touch, but he does manage to find Xavi Simons. He does really well to bring it down and then hold off the challenge of the Liverpool defender. Bentancur into Kulusevski with Pedro Porro on the overlap. This is more like it. Clipped in towards Dominic Solanke. Can Nicholas Raskin win that header? Yes, he can. But Bentancur's shot is blocked, and Liverpool can break through Florian Wirtz. Nicholas Raskin, just as we asked him to do though, the engine man in midfield tracks Wirtz all the way back, but what a ball that is, up towards Milos Kerkez. Pedro Porro back in a position to defend. Christian Romero the same. And Kulusevski may well be able to break here. Kirkez pacey. We're not going to be able to simply blitz past him. Verts with Ekitike on the overlap. Instead finds Gravenberch. Doing a lot with his feet, but very little with the ball. Raskin. Oh, it's a great ball through from, I think, potentially Dominic Szoboszlai. Well cut out at the back, though. Xavi Simons. Shrugged off the ball by Ryan Gravenberch. Needs to be stronger. Spence finds Xavi Simons with Rodrigo Bentancur in space. Liverpool very tight, very narrow in this midfield, and it's given Dejan Kulusevski some space to break. Can lift it towards Dominic Solanke and Xavi Simons in the box. Unfortunately, it was more in the direction of the much smaller man in Xavi Simons. But we are growing into this game and playing much, much better in the second period than we played in the first. There's far too much space for, I believe, Jeremy Frimpong, though. Van de Ven deals with it well. Frimpong with a chance to put the ball back into the box. Ekitike, and it's another really good save from Bart Verbruggen, as Van de Ven couldn't quite come across to block that shot. And Porro just lofts it up towards Kulusevski. Really good strength to hold off the challenge of Kirkez. And again, a second time. No options to aim for in the box, so just goes back to Pedro Porro. And I think, unfortunately, the chance is gone. Verts finds Jeremy Frimpong. Pedro Porro desperately trying to track back. But it's a good chance for Liverpool. And they regain the lead. 70 minutes into the game, through Alexis McAllister. Came from an opportunity that we had at the other end through Dejan Kulusevski. We couldn't make anything of it, though, and it's a pretty devastating counter-attack from Liverpool. A devastating finish by Alexis McAllister. Again, not much Bart Verbruggen can do about that. But we are going to be trying to win this game. So we are going to be bringing on Malik Tillman and James Maddison to press, to try and equalise for a second time here away from home on match day 1. McAllister finds Ekitike. Good feet from the big man. Beats Mickey Van de Ven. Doubles Liverpool's advantage. Van de Ven hung out to dry. Fantastic feet by Hugo Ekitike. I thought we'd see Alexander Isak up front for Liverpool today, to be honest. But Ekitike has got the job done. Showed Van de Ven one way, went the other. Verbruggen again hung out to dry. And Liverpool lead 3-1, and I struggle to see a way back into this game at this stage. And it's going to be 4. And it is 4. Really, really poor. If Ekitike far too much space, he grabs his second goal of the game, grabs Liverpool's 4th. And it's going to be pretty embarrassing 4-1 defeat in the opening game of the season. Van de Ven didn't track the run. Murillo not quick enough to come over and cover for his teammate. And I really like the look of this back three on paper with Romero, Van de Ven and Murillo. There's pace, there's height, there's tenacity. But if they're not going to be switched on, then they're going to concede goals in much the same way as they've done here today. So after the worst possible start to the Roberto De Zerbi era, we head into our second game against Manchester United, rock bottom of the Premier League. You know what being rock bottom of the league means, though? It means the only way is up. And we have a chance to put our first points on the board here against Manchester United at home. First chance to impress the home fans. Murillo is certainly going to have to improve on his performance from the first game if he's going to do that. As Romero immediately steals the ball away and Kulusevski can break. But Mathis Tel up front today ahead of Dominic Solanke is combined with Dejan Kulusevski here. who's just going to have to strike across goal with fewer other options, but it's fumbled by Senna Larmans. But a bright start here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and we will pile the pressure on from the off. Couple of changes to the starting 11 for this one. The team selection tool preferring Pat Matar in midfield. It wasn't a spectacular performance by Rodrigo Bentancur in the opening game of the season, so you can understand why. But again, as we did against Liverpool, we are struggling to find space in midfield. As Benjamin Šeško gets a shot away, it's decent enough defended by Van de Ven, just stood off Šeško and encouraged him to shoot from a poor angle. James Maddison today preferred to Xavi Simons and again to Malik Tillman, who will continue to wait to make his full debut in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt. Again, we're going to be pressing high here, as we are doing with Mathis Tel and with Dejan Kulusevski. It's nicely worked from Manchester United, though, as Kulusevski leaves one on Bruno Fernandes. He shrugs it off, to be fair to him, and finds Benjamin Šeško. Nicely worked from United. And Van de Ven again is isolated here. He didn't do well in those kinds of situations against Liverpool. He's done just about fine there, though. And that is something I've noticed with this three at the back formation, is that Mickey Van de Ven often finds himself isolated. The two outside defenders in Murillo, as James Maddison shapes to shoot and unfortunately snatches at it and it goes wide. But the outside defenders in Christian Romero and Murillo don't tuck in tight enough to provide support for Van de Ven. They kind of drift a little too far wide, and too often it's Van de Ven at best one-on-one with the opposing striker, and at worst two-on-one with a striker and either an attacking midfielder or a winger who's cut inside. So maybe something that we need to address going forward. United looking to open the scoring. Pat Matar doing a good job defensively. Kulusevski won't get there, and the deflection, the bounce will fall in favour of United, and it looks to be, I think, it's not Ahmad Diallo. Not sure who number 29 is, but he's opened the score. It's Marcus Rashford, brilliant. Not only back at United, but wearing the number 29 shirt, interestingly enough. Rasmus Højlund back in a United shirt too. But Marcus Rashford opens the scoring in front of the United fans away from home. It's a clinical finish. Yet again, nothing but Verbruggen can do. Feel bad for the new number one. It's been left high and dry multiple times already in just 2 games, and has conceded far more goals than he would have liked in those opening 2 games, that's for certain. Raskin, Kulusevski, Pedro Porro on the overlap. Finally a bit of space, but nobody in the box to aim for. Mathis Tel made a late run, but... And how have we allowed Benjamin Šeško to take that down? It was Šeško against 4 defenders. Our 3 at the back and Nicholas Raskin. Yet somehow Šeško is the one that comes away with the ball. Rashford, again far too much space, again able to strike. This time parried away by Bart Verbruggen. It's a good save, one you would expect him to make, but had to be alert there, as the chance from Manchester United came really from nothing. Porro. And I think Dejan Kulusevski is onside here. He's going to reach the ball if he is. He's going to try and find Mathis Tel. Cross over the head of the striker. Dominic Solanke would have been a more ideal target there. But Mathis Tel on a false 9 today, dropping in to try and collect the ball and provide a little more support to the 2 midfielders who continue to simply be outnumbered by the opposition. Rashford one-on-one again with Romero. Again, not a matchup that I particularly like. Good defending from Murillo. Kulusevski has to drop in there though. And it's another good save at the near post by Bart Verbruggen, who almost spills it into the back of the net. Would have been a disaster for the new number one. It's exactly those kinds of mistakes that led to Vicario being shown the exit. Oh, and this is exactly what we want from Mathis Tel. Fantastic to find Pedro Porro. But yet again, that means nobody in the box to aim for. Porro pulls it back towards Tel. Hooked clear by United. And the halftime whistle will go. That's exactly what we need from Matthijs Tel, though. A bright spark at the end of that first period that ultimately was another poor 45 minutes. So a couple more slight changes to the shape as we emerge for the second half here against Manchester United. I do like the shape of this side. It's the tactical system and the player roles that we really need to work on, though, to unlock its full potential, I think. The shape certainly suits our personnel the best. But we are going to be asking Jed Spence to push a little higher up the pitch here in this second half, as he's done here. And he's found James Maddison, and it's Matthijs Tel with a fantastic turn and immediately equalises. We are immediately rewarded for changing our shape ever so slightly. Just a slight tactical adjustment from the manager, Roberto De Zerbi, and it leads to an equalising goal just 2 minutes into the second half. Jed Spence finding James Maddison. It's a really good pass into Tel, who just allows the ball to come across him. Spins, fires. I thought it was going wide, but it's a pinpoint finish from Matthijs Tel, and it is 1-1 here at home. Šeško just about beats Raskin. Raskin, though, not giving up the chase just yet, and that's exactly what we need from our players. Tottenham, in recent seasons, been known to give up far too easily, to just capitulate, but that will not be happening under Roberto De Zerbi. Matthijs Tel, can he find Dejan Kulusevski on the far side? It's a pretty good effort. Kulusevski again in space on that right-hand side. If we could find a big diagonal ball across the pitch, then he would have been an ideal target, but unfortunately we couldn't quite find the space to do that. But that's nicely worked into the feet of Kulusevski, who lays it back, and it's going to be Nicholas Raskin to shoot from the edge of the box and blocked. Nicely worked, though. Pat Matasar involved, going forward as well as defensively. Šeško finds Diallo in space wide right, and Murillo's been taken out of the game there, and it's going to be Marcus Rashford beating Christian Romero to give United the lead once again. Thought we defended that fairly well. And Christian Romero versus Marcus Rashford, when the ball is on the ground, is not a matchup that I've liked. But when the ball is in the air, I would have backed Christian Romero to win that duel at the back post every single time. But instead, it's Marcus Rashford. Rises highest, goes back the way it came. Verbruggen helpless yet again. United lead 2-1. Simons. Destiny Udogie on the left-hand side now. Jed Spence heading over to the right. Udogie pokes it towards goal, and Senna Lamans makes the save. This change in shape, slight change in shape, is working out well, though. Space that Destiny Udogie was in there. And it's going to be the same again here as Xavi Simons. Substitute, finds him. Matthijs Tel turns the ball towards goal, but blocked. Desperate last-ditch attempt to prevent the ball from going in. And it's blocked in the 6-yard box. Matthijs Tel looking to grab his second goal of the game. But again, we have an overload, this time here on the right-hand side. Kulusevski in that half-winger role getting forward. Simons from range, again blocked. But we look far more dangerous. Really disappointing that we've gone 2-1 down. This change in shape certainly seems to be benefiting us. Let's just make sure we don't concede going the other way now. Murillo lunges in, doesn't win the ball back. Van der Ven comes across. It's a great block from Murillo, and we concede anyway. 3-1 United. And we have shipped goals in the first two games here. 4 away from home at Liverpool. Now 3 at home against Manchester United. Murillo makes the block. Falls straight back at the feet of Bruno Fernandes. Verbruggen has been helpless for a number of these. Perhaps we could have expected the goalkeeper to do a little better with that one. But again, we are chasing the game late. After narrowly squeaking by Barnet in our first round of the Carabao Cup, we have one final opportunity to put some points on the board in the Premier League against Manchester City. It's a change of shape for this one, as well as some changes to the starting 11. Archie Gray coming in alongside Nicholas Raskin. in a 4-2-3-1 formation that sees Xavi Simons, James Maddison, and Dejan Kulusevski supporting Mathys Tel up front. So we have a new manager, new players, and new shape, but it's been the same old Tottenham thus far. We will look to change that here at the Etihad as we go in search of our first points in the Premier League. Doggy has been caught forward. Archie Gray dropping into cover for his teammate, but City looking to work the ball inside. Headed clear by Murillo. Maddison will bring it down, potentially with his hand, but the referee waves play on. Nicely worked from City. Depay finds Doku. It's another good challenge, though, this time by Pedro Porro. And we can't quite find James Maddison to get a counter-attack going. Depay. Murillo comes across, can't quite win it back. And it's a big save from Bart Verbruggen at his near post. Thought Murillo had that covered, but couldn't get the foot in. And Maddison gives the ball away in a dangerous area to give City a second chance to take the lead here. And they're not going to do it like that. Poor shot in the end from Bernardo Silva. Or Mathys Tel pressing high. It's a great challenge from Nicholas Raskin. And Tel can lay it off for Kulusevski. And Xavi Simons at the back post is all alone and can't quite get his head to it. That is exactly why we brought Nicholas Raskin into this team. The tenacity, the ferocity in midfield, wins the ball back. And immediately springs us on a counter-attack that almost caught City napping. Nicely worked into the feet of Raskin, and James Maddison with space to strike. Will it fall through Doggy here? Yes, it will. He clips it back up towards Simons, who does get his head to it this time. And the third time of asking, Xavi Simons gets his head to the ball and nods it home to put us 1-up against Manchester City in a desperate search to lift ourselves up from 20th position. Didn't think he was getting to that one, Simons. But Akanji barely even challenges him. And Donnarumma just stands and watches as the ball hits the back of an almost empty net. Xavi Simons with a lot to prove this season. He's going to need plenty more goals if he is going to be a fixture of this team going forward. But it's been a fairly bright start to the season for him, to be fair. So a couple of additional changes as we look to see out this game. Dominic Solanke and the new boy Malik Tillman coming on. Still yet to find too many opportunities to make his mark on the first team, Malik Tillman. I'm sure they will come. But Xavi Simons playing well. Kulusevski the same. James Maddison vying for one of those attacking midfield spots as well. That's exactly what we need. Depth, competition. Kulusevski. 3-0. 3-0. And Malik Tillman does make his mark on the first team. It's a late substitution. But Tillman found by Dejan Kulusevski. It was a late run at the back post by Tillman, but a perfectly timed run. A perfectly placed cross as well. Donnarumma almost keeps it out. But it's going to be the new boy Malik Tillman trying to find a forever home at Tottenham to make it 3-0 away from home. And what a turnaround. Tillman. Can he grab another goal late here? He will certainly try. And it's a spectacular finish from Malik Tillman to make it 4. Incredible goal. Quick counter-attack as City pressed for what likely would have only been a consolation goal. But we dealt with it well in our defensive third. Got the ball forward quickly, directly, and this is exactly why we brought Malik Tillman in. We've seen the reason we brought Nicholas Raskin in this game, but that's exactly what we had in mind when we added Malik Tillman to this team. Start him out on the left, have him cut in onto that right foot, and have him create either an opportunity for himself, as he's done there, or an opportunity for Dominic Solanke, or more likely Mathys Tel, who has looked even better than Solanke to start the season. Solanke not pleased with that though. Steals the ball away, and we will look for Malik Tillman in search of a hat-trick late Instead, he will pull it back for Dominic Solanke, who makes it 5. Where has this performance come from? Where has this performance come from? City capitulating late on. And I think this could be a sign of the way that things are going to be in this series. I don't think it's going to be plain sailing by any means. Nothing at Tottenham Hotspur ever is. I think it's going to be a roller coaster. There are going to be poor performances, and then there are going to be performances like this. And what a performance for Malik Tillman off the bench. Scores a goal of his own, puts one on a plate for Dominic Solanke, or scores 2 goals of his own rather, and then puts one on a plate for Dominic Solanke. 5-0. Now, I was content to keep Mickey van der Ven this season, but a couple of Spurs fans in the comments and a £45 million bid from Juventus convinced me otherwise. So after a long, drawn-out transfer saga, Mickey van der Ven does end up departing the club, and it's a youngster who has been brought in to replace him. 22-year-old Namdi Collins arrives from Eintracht Frankfurt for £25 million, with 3 solid Bundesliga seasons behind him and his whole career ahead of him. But he's not the only youngster that will be looking to take Mickey van der Ven's place. I have to be honest, I had no idea this guy even existed, but Luka Vuskovic looks absolutely incredible. Just 19 years old, already an 80 overall, with 4 really interesting play styles and some absolutely dominant defensive attributes. Spurs signed him a year ago, and he's been out on loan at Hamburg in real life this season, where he's racked up over 2,000 minutes across 23 Bundesliga games, contributing 5 goals and an assist from centre-back. So as we explore more 4 at the back formations after a shaky start in episode 1 with the 3, it's going to be interesting to see who the team selection tool favours at centre-back as we move throughout this season. Got 4 games to get to in today's episode, including an early North London derby against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup, and we are hosting another London club in Chelsea. I'll show you extended highlights of each of those games, and we'll be quick simming games against Bournemouth and Premier League new boys Coventry City. And it will be Vuskovic who gets the nod at centre-back in our first game against Chelsea. We'll get our first look at the youngster in a 4-3-2-1 formation that sees new signing Nicholas Raskin line up alongside Bentancur and Maddison in midfield, with fellow new signing Malik Tillman alongside Xavi Simons just behind Mathis Tel, who has impressed so far this season. So will Luka Vuskovic impress immediately in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt? Will Murillo start to impress alongside him? Will Malik Tillman pick up where he left off at the end of episode 1? These will all be questions that will undoubtedly be answered here in our opening game of the episode against Chelsea, as Xavi Simons gets a foot in immediately. But Chelsea looking to get off to a quick start here. Chelsea, like a number of teams in episode 1, as Bart Verbruggen claims, not having made a number of additions to their team this summer. Seems to have been a quiet transfer window for the majority of Premier League teams, as we see Vuskovic take his first touches here in front of the Tottenham Hotspur fans. But we seem to have had a busier transfer window than most. Cole Palmer with Esteval one way, instead goes back to Caicedo, and it's Jamie Gittins on the opposite flank. Danger men on each of the Chelsea wings. Young players with lots and lots of potential, as Vuskovic and then eventually Nicholas Raskin managed to deal with the danger. Mathis Tel pressing high, but Cole Palmer going to be a danger man at the centre of the Chelsea attack. And he's found Mark Cucurella. Lavia holds off the challenge of James Maddison, unsurprisingly, and it's Jamie Gittins once again. And Vuskovic can't get across quickly enough, and it's Mark Cucurella to open the scoring. I thought we defended that fairly well. We'd kept Chelsea at bay there. But it's Cucurella with an inverted run. He's found himself in a very central position there, and found himself with some time and space on the edge of the box. Vuskovic, the youngster, comes across, but he's nowhere near pacey enough to get there. Murillo decently positioned, but it's a surprisingly clinical finish from the Chelsea left back. And already we are a goal down at home. No need to panic just yet, though. We will continue to play our game. That means playing the ball out from the back with Bart Verbruggen. That means being patient in possession. Means enjoying the ball. And then it means trying to play those clinical passes when we do find the time and the space in the final third. Bentancur into Nicholas Raskin with Malik Tillman in space on the far side. Tillman taking on Mark Cucurella and lofting the ball up towards the back post of Matthijs Tel. And what an unreal save that is from Jurgensen. I thought that was a certain equaliser. Tillman puts it on a plate for Matthijs Tel, who has impressed so far this season. And it looked a certain goal. Instead, it's an incredible save from the Chelsea keeper. Maddison to deliver. Tillman to put it back across. Bošković trying the overhead kick. Perhaps that's how he scored those 5 goals in the Bundesliga for Hamburg last season. Very surprised to see that when I checked him out. Tillman cutting inside, finding Xavi Simons. Plenty of Chelsea defenders well positioned though, as Pedro Porro drives and just tries to put the ball into the box again. Instead it's blocked by Cucurella. He's had a busy start to the game, the Chelsea left back. Roberto De Zerbi looking on. I think I need to go back into the editor for Roberto De Zerbi. He doesn't look too much like his real life counterpart. And I think we can probably do a better job. Xavi Simons is it off for Nicholas Raskin. Just about finding Matthijs Tel. James Maddison will have a chance to put it into the box again. And it's into a poor area. Too close to the Chelsea keeper. But what I'm most concerned by is an injury that Luka Bošković looks to have picked up. Probably sustained when he tried that overhead kick moments ago. But we're going to have to be switched on here defensively as Chelsea look to double their lead. Pedro Porro and James Maddison each well positioned. And it's good composure from Pedro Porro to work the ball clear. Bentancur to the feet of Matthijs Tel. Malik Tillman ahead of him. I think we can probably take advantage of Mark Cucurella getting so far forward in today's game at some point. When that will be, I'm not sure, but that's a good ball in from Tillman in search of Xavi Simons. And again, this is something we saw in episode 1. We worked the ball into certain areas and we kind of wish that Dominic Solanke was on the pitch instead of somebody like a Matthijs Tel. Tel dropped deep there to get the attack started, but that left us light in the Chelsea box when Malik Tillman was in a position to put the ball into a dangerous area. And it's a great ball from Cole Palmer through to Jamie Gittins. Pedro Porro goes out to meet him and does a really good job, to be fair. And this is exactly where we can take advantage of the fact that Cucurella is pressing so high. Tillman searching for Tel. Cut out expertly, though, by the Chelsea centre-back. And we are going to have to get somebody tighter to Cole Palmer because he is picking up the ball in the centre circle with acres of space at the moment. Gittins gets the better of Pedro Porro on this occasion. Bošković has certainly picked up a knock. He hasn't been able to run it off. So it does look as though we're going to have to bring him off at the next opportunity. Pedro Porro does well to win that. And Malik Tillman just going to have to retain possession. But he's going to be punished by this Chelsea press. And thankfully the ball goes wide. And that will give us a chance to bring off the ailing Luka Bošković. So the youngsters, Tottenham debut, brutally cut short. And he is distraught, as you can tell. Kevin Danzo on to replace him. We won't see the new boy, Nnamdi Collins, just yet. Going with the more experienced man on the bench. Another former Bundesliga defender, of course. Tillman. Porro outside him. James Maddison with a good run. But again, we are finding too much space on the wings with too many players in central areas. Maddison drives. Can't find a way through this Chelsea defence. Bentancur. Really nice ball out to Malik Tillman. And again, he's one-on-one with Mark Cucurella. Just goes back to Pedro Porro. Will not find room to cross. Instead, he'll find Nicholas Raskin. who pop it into Rodrigo Bentancur, and James Maddison does find a bit of space in amongst Chelsea bodies and fires left-footed past Jurgensen, and he and Jed Spence are going to celebrate the Tottenham Hotspur equaliser. About 10 minutes before half-time, I believe. It was nicely worked into a congested area where James Maddison, with some really quick feet, finds a bit of space and fires past the Chelsea keeper Jurgensen. And the third time of asking, has made a couple of really good saves in this first period. But we do draw level before half-time. Just a couple of minutes before half-time, actually. This first half has flown by. But with the impetus potentially to go on in the second period and grab all 3 points. Cole Palmer looking to get Chelsea ahead again here in the second half. I'm a little bit wary of continuing with the same system here in the second period, because we've looked good going forward, but we've looked a little shaky defensively. And it may be a little negative, a little conservative. I probably would be happy enough with a point here at home against Chelsea. Estevao drives. Murillo comes across to cut it out, though. That's much better defending from the Brazilian. We've seen him have a bit of a shaky start to his Tottenham Hotspur career, but hopefully he can grow, develop, settle into the side. A couple of additional changes for Roberto De Zerbi. Like for like, fairly defensive rather than attacking substitutions, as James Maddison and Xavi Simons make way. Pat Matasar on in midfield, and then Kulusevski coming on this right-hand side. Malik Tillman trying his luck for the last half an hour or so from the left. Fernandez. Danzo out there to meet him. We have to stop that ball coming across to Cole Palmer, which you have managed to do, but it's actually the goal scorer on the edge of the box, Cucurella, who looked to be the danger man there. But we've dealt with that danger well and found Malik Tillman, who turns and breaks. Has to go back, but finds Jed Spence, Raskin and Matasar. Chelsea very, very organised today. Organised in their press, organised in their defensive shape when they've managed to get players back, making it really difficult for us to break them down. Tillman into the feet of Matasar. Kulusevski outside him. Had too many opportunities in these kinds of areas today. Chelsea doing a really good job of defending them, and we're not exactly equipped to take full advantage of Chelsea in those kinds of areas. Potentially we bring on Dominic Solanke for the final 15 minutes or so to try and exploit those kinds of areas a little further. But Mathys Tel struggled up front today. He's been a part of some good exchanges and has provided a link in the chain going forwards for certain, but certainly hasn't made his mark in today's game as he has in recent games. Cole Palmer. Nicholas Raskin tracking back, but it's Caicedo, the former Brighton man. Another player Roberto De Zerbi is going to be pretty familiar with. Into the feet of Palmer once again. Really dictated the play today, Cole Palmer. Estevao. Is it out in front of his teammate? Estevao with a chance to cross. Murillo can't stop it. It's Estevao once again. Got to be careful not to concede here. We've done well to get to 80 minutes with the score 1-1. As Cole Palmer brings it down, hits it straight into the feet of Bart Verbruggen, who knows absolutely nothing about it, but manages to keep the game at 1-1. We will bring Dominic Solanke on for the last 10 minutes or so, as well as Destiny Udogie. Jed Spence has put in quite the shift down the left-hand side, but we're going to be looking for Dominic Solanke in the box from those wide areas in these last 10 minutes and see if we can't steal a win away from Chelsea. Malik Tillman drives, has the pace to get away from, I think, Caicedo and create a bit of room between himself and the Chelsea man. And this is exactly the kind of opportunity where we should be looking for Dominic Solanke. The cross, though, was a poor one. Murillo wins the header. recycles immediately. Malik Tillman once again lost it up towards Solanke, but again, it's not a great cross. It's with his weaker foot. We do want Malik Tillman crossing from the right-hand side, but now that he's over on the left, really we want him cutting inside onto that right foot. But it will be all square here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. As we said earlier in the half, probably pleased enough with a point, especially since we went a goal down to Chelsea early, and it looked as though it might be another one of those games, but grabbed a goal back before half-time through James Maddison, and managed to hang on in that second half, put another point on the board. And after that first episode that was a roller coaster to say the least, I think every point that we put on the board, every little bit of progress that we make, every time we get 1% better, we are going to have to be fake up. Pretty much silent here at the Emirates. Can't hear a single Arsenal fan in the crowd. As Murillo plays it into the feet of James Maddison. Pedro Porro out on the right, and Dejan Kulusevski immediately closed down by Arsenal, and it looks as though Arsenal are going to be taking a similar approach to Chelsea and making it really difficult for us to break them down. Malik Tillman operating from the left-hand side today, has been operating more so from the right, but it's Kulusevski on that side who's going to be drifting out to the touchline and whipping those crosses in. Malik Tillman going to be cutting in off that left-hand side and looking to get shots away with his right foot. Bentancur finds Malik Tillman. Destiny Udogie outside him. Tillman finds Udogie, who lost it up towards Dominic Solanke. And the ball falls to the feet of Malik Tillman, who had drifted in off that left-hand side, and he fires a vicious shot towards goal. David Raya, though, alert, ready to make that save. Parries it around his post for a corner, which Murillo will head towards goal, and Declan Rice will head off the line. Feel like we should be 1-0 up. Unreal intervention from Declan Rice, as Dejan Kulusevski can't quite get his shot away, and unfortunately it looks like Malik Tillman has gone down injured. Declan Rice, space to pick his pass, he does so, and it's turned towards goal. Gyökeres couldn't quite get there for the follow-up though, and it's a big save from Bart Verbruggen to keep us level. And we could well look to break here. Arsenal with plenty of players back to defend though. And instead we'll retain possession through Murillo, Romero. Malik Tillman, having picked up that knock, looks as though he's probably going to have to be leaving the field. We've given it 5 or 10 minutes to see if he can run it off, but he's very much looking as though that is not the case. And he is likely going to have to make way, as Vuskovic did against Chelsea. Thankfully, that injury to Vuskovic was just a knock that kept him out for a couple of days. We're going to have to hope that that's the case with Malik Tillman as well, as Dominic Solanke steals in on Ricardo Calafiori. He probably could have brought that down and turned a shot towards goal. Instead, he tries the header. And I just cannot get over how quiet it is at the Emirates. I feel like my settings have been messed up. But I've checked them and they are absolutely fine. They are as they have been. The Arsenal fans just not up for this North London derby at all, as Saka drifts offside. Potentially if we see Arsenal go a goal up, or even a goal down, the crowd may get a little more involved, but at the moment it's like a library here at the Emirates. So Malik Tillman does indeed make way, and it's going to be Xavi Simons on to replace him. Tillman and Simons, two of our higher performing players based on the overall form in our team selection tool. So one replacing the other. Ødegaard driving, lofts the ball up towards Saka. Murillo across to try and deal with it. He's failed to do so, but that is a fantastic, brave block from Christian Romero, coming across to cover for his teammate. And now we hear the Arsenal fans a little more, as Declan Rice prepares to take a corner. Set pieces as good as goals for Arsenal this season. Declan Rice. Arsenal committing players forward. So if we can break here with Destiny Udogie, we may well be able to catch them napping. And Udogie has found Murillo with Bentancur and Xavi Simons up in support. Dominic Solanke occupying Saliba for now. So Simons will continue to drive and pull it back across to James Maddison, who in turn can't quite find Nicholas Raskin. It was a good run from Raskin. Ordinarily, we ask him to stay back, but from time to time, he will drift forward. Especially to make up the numbers on a counter-attack, just as he's done there. But unfortunately, Martin Ødegaard, in quite the reversal of roles, back in his own penalty area to cut out the pass. Trossard. Yet another of those former Brighton players that De Zerbi will know so well. It's been a thoroughly uneventful first half here at the Emirates, but we could potentially have a chance to change that here at the very end of the first half, as it's nicely worked. But again, just can't find the space in the Arsenal box. Can't find that clinical pass, that clinical bit of skill to open up Arsenal at the last moment. And instead, it does look like it's going to be 0-0 going into the halftime break. Can't blame the Arsenal fans for being all but silent in that first period. You couldn't blame the Arsenal fans for falling asleep during those first 45 minutes, to be fair. It's not like a North London derby to be as lackluster as this, but neither team really committing to winning this game thus far. We've seen lots of Carabao Cup penalty shootouts recently here on the channel. 2 of them in Season 2 of our Leeds United career mode, where we did go on to, against the odds, win the Carabao Cup in that season, overcoming both, I want to say, Chelsea and then Manchester City on penalties to advance from the semi-finals into the finals and then eventually to lift the trophy. Could well be seeing penalties here again today. Solanke into feet and turns, finds Udogie. Can he find the big man in the box? No, he can't. Headed clear, but Raskin into the feet of Bentancur and then on to Xavi Simons, who will pull it back in search of a Spurs shirt. James Maddison well positioned, Dominic Solanke the same. We couldn't find either of those players, but Raskin will find Destiny Udogie once again, who can drive at Bukayo Saka. Timber across to help his midfielder out. Raskin into the feet of James Maddison, starting to press now. Starting to enjoy a little more possession in the Arsenal final third, and that's lofted up towards Dominic Solanke, but it's really good defending from Gabriel to get his head to it first. And that will go out for a Tottenham Hotspur corner. Been few and far between. That is nowhere close to the quadrant there that it should be on. James Maddison has been known to tease opposing fans by putting the ball outside of that little quarter circle, but I don't think he was ever getting away with that one. Udogie steals the ball away from Saka and lofts it up towards Xavi Simons. Dominic Solanke, the ball at his feet and a chance to run at the Arsenal defenders. Not exactly his skill set, Dominic Solanke. Kulusevski will find Maddison. Will find Xavi Simons with Destiny Udogie in space to fire across David Raya. Nobody well positioned on that occasion for the pullback from Destiny Udogie. We had James Maddison and Dominic Solanke to pick out last time. This time those options weren't available, so Udogie had to go himself. Not a clinical finish though, and it's been the story of the game so far, really. Neither team good enough in the final third to cause any real problems for the opposing keeper. Maddison, nice little turn and lays the ball out in front of Dejan Kulusevski. I think we're going to have to start thinking about penalties before too long, but still going to try and win this game in normal time if we can. I think Matthijs Tel probably likely to come on before too long. I think we want to leave Dominic Solanke on the pitch just in case this game does end up going to penalties though. So what the shape will look like for the final 15 minutes or so of this game, I'm not too sure. Bukayo Saka into Gyökeres and Ødegaard with space to strike. Thankfully, it's a completely lackluster effort, which Bart Verbruggen saves comfortably, but we gave Ødegaard far too much space there. Really opened up for him. when Solanke with Kulusevski on the overlap. Again, nobody really to aim for in the box. Instead, Maddison will find Raskin with space to shoot. And the second ball falls to the feet of Kulusevski. Arsenal hook clear. And Victor Gyökeres somehow has come down with that. Thankfully, Christian Romero alert to that danger. How Gyökeres came down with that amongst 4 Spurs bodies, I'm not sure. Oh, and Romero's given it away in a horrible area. Leandro Trossard with a chance to punish him. Pulled back to, I believe, Zubamendi. Let's not throw the game away like this. Ødegaard into Gyökeres, and we do. Disastrous from Christian Romero. We've seen Murillo do it in episode 1. We've seen Christian Romero do it here. We are going to have to throw Mathys Tel on. Simply to try and pull this game back and get it to penalties. Because it's not going that way at this moment in time. We had a chance to get back and defend, to be fair. Murillo probably in the way of his goalkeeper a little bit there. Preventing him from being able to see the strike from Gyökeres, but it's a good strike. And that all came from Christian Romero just gifting the ball to Leandro Trossard in an area in which we should not be giving up possession quite so easily. Conor Gallagher on. So Mathys Tel and Jed Spence on for the final 10 minutes or so of the game as well. As we do try and press for an equaliser. Changing the shape slightly as well just to get more players forward. As Maddison clips it up towards Pedro Porro. Cut out well. Zubamendi once again finding Trossard. Gyökeres getting there. Again beating Romero to the ball. He's not had a good game today, Christian Romero. Another player that it was suggested in the comments could well leave this summer. Predictions that he will be leaving Spurs in real life. But I think getting rid of both Van de Ven and Christian Romero would have been a substantial hit to take. And I could certainly see one or the other staying at Spurs, with Christian Romero probably being the more likely. Tel. Kulusevski. Still just 1-0 down here. It's been a really poor performance, but we are still just 1-0 down. Entering the final moments of this game. Jed Spence twisting, turning, trying to find a way past Jurrien Timber. Simons. The same. Just has to loft it up towards Tel and Solanke in the box. 3 minutes of added time. As Roberto De Zerbi looks on. I'm going to begin with a Tottenham Hotspur corner, which James Maddison will deliver into a good area. Solanke turns it towards goal. David Raya claims. And it looks as though Arsenal are going to hang on in these final few moments. Conor Gallagher pressing high though, trying to force a mistake from Calafiore, which he almost has. And Raya hooks clear. Should give us one final opportunity to equalise here late at the Emirates. Kulusevski finds Pedro Porro with players at the back post. Unfortunately, it's William Saliba, the player that we managed to find. And that probably will give Arsenal the time that they need to just see out the final seconds. And the final whistle does go. It's been a disappointing game and a disappointing episode so far. I was fairly happy with a point against Chelsea, but have to be disappointed to only come away with a point against Bournemouth. And then we lose in the first North London derby of the series. What's most disappointing though is the way in which we lost. Really poor performance. The form of our squad is really starting to take shape now, and our realistic team selections tool is really starting to figure out who it wants to prioritize at each position. Been a tough start to the season. We've already faced Liverpool, United, City, Arsenal and Chelsea, but we have a slightly easier month coming up in October with the games against Sunderland, against De Zerbi's former club Brighton, against Crystal Palace and against Wrexham. We were due to be without Malik Tillman anyway, since he picked up a knock in the previous episode, but it looks like we'll be without him for longer. We're also going to be losing Mikey Moore after a training injury clash between the two. That's allowed Wilson Odobert to step into the starting 11 behind Dominic Solanke. Our team selection tool is also favouring Kota Takai at the back, as well as Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall in midfield alongside Rodrigo Bentancur. Unfortunately, all we manage is yet another draw though, as Pedro Porro equalises after Luke O'Nine's early opening goal. However, Sunderland did miss a penalty in the dying minutes, so probably lucky to come away with anything from the game. Really feels like we need to pick up all 3 points here against Brighton and Hove Albion though. Not only are we already in danger of becoming mired in mid-table, but it is, of course, Roberto De Zerbi's former side. So very much looking to get one over on his former club here today. Very much looking to show these Tottenham Hotspur fans, who are rightfully, potentially sceptical early here in the Roberto De Zerbi era, exactly what this side can do. And we have begun the game in the right way at the very least, as Roberto De Zerbi looks on. Dominic Solanke making a nuisance of himself in the 6-yard box already. James Maddison to look for Murillo. The ball headed clear though. And we have an overload on this left-hand side. Xavi Simons bringing the ball down. He's got Destiny Udogie to his left. He's got Dominic Solanke in the box. Xavi Simons can't find him. But it's a strong starting 11 here today at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, as that is excellently defended by Murillo, who continues to look as if he's starting to settle into the side. But pretty much the strongest 11 we have available to us. It's very much up for debate exactly what our strongest starting 11 is. But you could certainly argue that it looks like this. Udogie, one-on-one with his man again. Once again looking for Solanke. The cross more in the direction of Xavi Simons this time though. And again, Brighton can bring it down and look to break. Christian Romero tracking back, does an excellent job of winning the ball back. And this is exactly how we are looking to play this season under Roberto De Zerbi. Enjoy plenty of possession in the opposition's final third. Win the ball back high. And look to put the pressure on again immediately whenever we lose possession. Raskin just lays it in front of Porro. Kulusevski ahead of him. Porro drives. Back to Kulusevski. And Nicholas Raskin. Christian Romero forward in support, as well as Murillo. Camped inside the Brighton and Hove Albion final third. Udogie gets to the byline once again. Again, Solanke is nowhere to be seen though. We need him to be taking up better positions than that if we're going to have success in today's game. Given the way that Destiny Udogie has been able to get at his opposing fullback so early on. Brighton enjoying a bit of possession of their own now though. We are using the latest edition of my realistic slider set for this particular video. Version 4.0. I did put out a video breaking down the slider set recently. If you haven't checked that out, check it out already. Particularly if you like the way the game looks. Always aiming for realism with my slider sets. As Pedro Porro cuts it out. Can he find Kulusevski on the right? No, he can't. And Brighton win back possession. And they can look to continue to apply the pressure here. Porro doing well to stop the cross initially. Can't prevent Brighton from getting to the byline themselves though. And James Maddison potentially can break now. Needs players up in support with him. He has one in the form of Dejan Kulusevski. Instead he goes the other way to Dominic Solanke. But there is Destiny Udogie once again. Can't beat his fullback on this occasion. Oh, and Pedro Porro gives the ball away in a dangerous area. Just got outnumbered out on the right hand side. Christian Romero has to come across to cover for him as Pedro Porro tucks in. It's a pretty poor cross from the Brighton winger. But unfortunately, you have to come across and deal with it. And the ball does go out for the first Brighton corner of the game. And it's into a dangerous area. And the header cracks the crossbar. But for Bruggen, also against his former club, of course, absolutely helpless. But thankfully, the ball cracks the crossbar instead of hitting the back of the net. Udogie drives, lays it out in front of Xavi Simons. Will we see him cut inside? Yes, we will. Beats, I think, Lewis Dunk. And I thought that was going to be buried in the bottom corner. We've seen Malik Tillman score a couple of goals like that this season. As Xavi Simons this time. But cut inside, beat Lewis Dunk to the spot. Managed to get his shot away. And unfortunately, it just curled around the post. Really thought I was going to see the net ripple there. Oh, and it's Kulusevski who cuts the ball out in a dangerous area this time. Solanke in the box. Kulusevski trying desperately to find space to cross or to find his teammate. Couldn't do so. All into the feet of Xavi Simons, and there's Destiny Udogie once again looking to get to the byline. Can't manage it this time either. Bentancur, though, cutting inside on his right foot. Gets a vicious shot away. Xavi Simons moments earlier trying to curl one into the far corner. Rodrigo Bentancur taking a different approach and just putting his laces through it. Forces a good save from the Brighton keeper. Udogie laying it in front of Xavi Simons this time. Again, Brighton well positioned to defend. But Nicholas Raskin, edge of the box, also trying to find some space to shoot. Manages to get his shot away. Once again saved by the Brighton keeper. But we are knocking on the Brighton door here in the first half. Looking to grab a goal within these last 10 minutes or so to hopefully go in to the halftime break a goal up. So slight change to the shape here in this second period, or not so much to the shape, but where players are going to be lining up rather within that shape. We're looking to get James Maddison more involved going forward. We've not created anywhere near enough chances in this game so far. So asking James Maddison to step forward from that deeper position that he's been in thus far. And we've got away with one there. Thought we were going to have to fight back from a goal down for a second there, but thankfully the ball goes wide. Simons has indeed picked up a knock, so probably going to have to make way before too long. We've been pretty fortunate with injuries so far this season. Tottenham having a torrid time with injuries in real life, but we have remained pretty healthy early in the season. Just a couple of knocks to players that have kept them out for less than a week. Great run from Udogie and found by Nicholas Raskin. Lofted up towards Solanke. The cross was too early that time. And we've overcorrected. We had to put the ball into the box when we had the chance. Last time we had the ball in the Brighton final third. Instead, we turned back and the chance went. And on that occasion, we should have been a little more patient. Great interception by Christian Romero. Brighton clearly looking to press a little more in this second half, though. The game feeling a lot more open, a lot more end-to-end. That is a pinpoint pass from Xavi Simons. And Kulusevski doesn't quite have the pace to beat his man. What a ball, though, from Simons into Kulusevski's pass. Dropped it into a bucket for him. Kulusevski drives towards the touchline. Oro behind him. Solanke just in the worst possible position. Solanke is enormous. And no idea why he's so reluctant to get in a position to potentially win a header, and Udogie hits the post. Should be 1-0. So Brighton hit the woodwork at the at the same end, I guess, in the first half. Udogie hits the post this time. And this game very much more open, very much more end-to-end, very much more back and forth, but still neither side can find the back of the net to open the scoring. So triple substitution for Roberto De Zerbi as we look to win this game. Jed Spence, Malik Tillman and Alfie Devine making his Premier League debut for Tottenham this season. All on, and we are trying to win this game. Maddison with Udogie and Malik Tillman wide left. Goes with Udogie. Malik Tillman collects though. Lofts the ball into the box for Alfie Devine. He brings it down on his chest and fires home. Alfie Devine on his debut. Premier League debut for Tottenham Hotspur this season. And may have just given us all 3 points against Roberto De Zerbi's former side. And it's 2 substitutions that combine for the goal. Malik Tillman lofting the ball into the box. It's an incredible run from Alfie Devine. It's a brilliant touch on his chest and a clinical finish. And a tactical masterclass from De Zerbi against his former side, potentially. We've controlled this game from start to finish, and just as Brighton start to press to look to win this game themselves, De Zerbi makes a series of substitutions that turn the game on its head, that give us the lead, and should hopefully, if we settle for the final 20 minutes, give us all 3 points in this game. Tillman collects and drives. Room to stretch his legs. Pace to get out ahead of the Brighton defender. Cuts inside Malik Tillman. And it's a deflection off the Brighton man that sends the ball out of play for a corner. It's going to be 2 final changes as Archie Gray and Pat Matassar come on in midfield. Couple of pairs of fresh legs as we try and see this game out. Brighton looking to press in the dying minutes of this game to try and force one final opportunity. But has Bart Verbruggen found Dominic Solanke to put the game to bed? He has. It's an assist for Bart Verbruggen against his former club. And Dominic Solanke, who's done nothing all game, gets an absolute gift in the dying seconds to pad his stats a little bit, shall we say. But Brighton throwing players forward to try and grab an equaliser late. Lewis Dunk doesn't have the pace nor the strength to beat Dominic Solanke to the ball. And Solanke does manage to find the time to shift the ball onto his right foot and fires past the helpless Brighton keeper. It's going to be 2-0. It's been a decent enough performance today as Solanke doubles our lead with the final kick of the game. We controlled the game from start to finish, really. We were very, very good in possession. We built from the back very well. We defended very well. And it's just, we just need to improve slightly in the final third. We need to find those little combinations to unlock opposing defenses. That clinical pass. That clinical skill move that sends the defender the wrong way and opens up half a yard of space. I think once those things start to come together, we'll be a side to be reckoned with. So Arsenal may have Max Dowman, but they can keep him. We have Alfie Devine. Youngster has only played 46 total minutes for Spurs in real life across 2 FA Cup games. But he scores on his debut for us here in the Premier League. An interesting lineup for Crystal Palace sees former Spurs man Brennan Johnson making the start against us. It also sees Mario's former partner at the back at Nottingham Forest, Milinkovic, start at the centre of a back 3 for Crystal Palace. We're actually yet to face a back 3 this season, so it'll be interesting to see how our shape matches up against the back 3 of Crystal Palace. I think it's going to be particularly tricky to break Palace down today, as Devine cuts inside looking for the run of Malik Tillman. Gallagher will find James Maddison, who spots the run of Alfie Devine into a good area, to be fair, but the pass cut out by the Palace back line. Malik Tillman steals the ball high up the pitch though. Devine with the ball at his feet, shapes to shoot from range, goes with his left. Potentially would have been better trying to curl it into that far corner with his right, but it's a powerful strike. Probably would have beaten the keeper if it was on target. Maddison finds Conor Gallagher. Devine again, shaping to shoot with his left. This time it's a good challenge by the Palace defender, but it's a positive start for us here early away from home. Maddison into the feet of Devine. Raskin. Malik Tillman into a congested area. We go back the other way and eventually James Maddison once again. It's a good little run from Conor Gallagher, who combines well with James Maddison. He has to strike with his left foot. His far weaker foot, but gets enough on it to force a block from Adam Wharton. And the ball goes out for a Tottenham Hotspur corner. Adam Wharton, a player I'm very interested in, still at Crystal Palace, despite the fact that he could easily have secured a move to a bigger club. That is an interesting corner from Maddison. Knocked down. And eventually Malik Tillman will curl one from range. Just nowhere near enough power on that to really challenge Dean Henderson in the Palace goal. Devine. Chance to drive at the Palace defence. And just threads it through for Destiny Udogie. Udogie's going to get there and clip it up towards Solanke at the back post. Headed clear by Milinkovic, that former Nottingham Forest defender. And it's going to be another corner as we pile the pressure on Crystal Palace here early. Oh, and it's nicely worked from Palace. Mario on the edge of the box, preventing the shot. Bart Verbruggen making the quick reaction save as that shot came through bodies to test him. Gallagher lays it off for James Maddison, who will strike from range, this time with his right foot. You can tell which foot is his stronger. Much more power in the strike that time, but a lot of space for James Maddison on the edge of the box. Palace, by the looks of things, just looking to capitalise on the counter-attack. They do have a back five, but Tyrick Mitchell on the left-hand side at the very least is more than willing to get forward and support in those counter-attacks. As Devine finds Maddison into the feet of Solanke. It's a great run from Tillman. It's a pinpoint pass from Solanke, and it has to be 1-0. And Tillman, as Solanke did in the last game against Brighton, spending far too long trying to shift the ball onto his stronger foot, just has to put his foot through it, and surely the game would be 1-0. Oh, and Raskin nods it down to Malik Tillman. And Raskin will find Conor Gallagher. Alfie Devine once more to curl one with his left foot. Parried away by Dean Henderson. Not out of danger just yet. Murillo challenges for the second ball. Doesn't win it. But we do manage to recycle possession. And Conor Gallagher will just about find Malik Tillman. Again, there are Palace bodies back. And it's a great pass from Conor Gallagher. Dominic Solanke opens the scoring. Offside flag stays down. I was a little worried there for a second that Dominic Solanke had drifted offside. But it's the little back heel from Conor Gallagher that unlocks the Palace defence. And it is the end of the Brighton game where I said we need to be better at exactly this. Those little combinations in the final third. That clinical pass, that little bit of skill to unlock the defence. And it's unlocked the 5 of Crystal Palace's defence right there. Great little flicked pass around the corner from Conor Gallagher. Disguised. Allowed Dominic Solanke to just drift into the box, into space. Solanke buries it 1-0 Spurs. Devine to drive. Got players to his left. Instead finds Dominic Solanke to his right. And is he going to return the favour for Conor Gallagher? Not quite. And Solanke can't quite reach the rebound. Is a really good run from Conor Gallagher this time. A nice little pass to unlock the defence to set up Solanke's goal. But on that occasion, it was a good run forward from Conor Gallagher beyond Dominic Solanke. Solanke managed to find him as we see Solanke's goal again. Nice little touch turn, gets the ball out of his feet and fires past Dean Henderson. But really, we could have been 2-0 up at the end of this first half. It's nicely worked from Palace again. Murillo coming across to cover. Pedro Porro back in his position now. But Palace really looking to grab an equaliser here early in the second period. Destiny Udogie heads clear. Malik Tillman will bring it down and carry us into the Crystal Palace half. And Solanke with a run through the middle. I think there's going to be a little too much on the pass from Malik Tillman. And Dean Henderson does, on this occasion, manage to wait for the ball to come into his box before collecting. He's made that mistake before. Gallagher into the feet of Tillman. With space to drive. 1-on-1. Gallagher once again. Slays it off for Maddison. He finds Alfie Devine, who takes on his man. Loses possession, however. It's not been a spectacular performance from Alfie Devine in his first Premier League start. It's been solid enough. Haven't really seen any magic from him today like we saw in that appearance off the bench in the Brighton game, though. Malik Tillman is going to reach that. Conor Gallagher with a great run. Tillman couldn't quite find him, but James Maddison has so much space on the edge of the box and puts it wide. Had so much time, James Maddison. Probably a bit too much time. But Alfie Devine is going to make way for Rodrigo Bentancur. Big occasion for the youngster. You can understand the fact that he hasn't made too much of an impact on the game. But again, a solid enough performance. And good to get his first Premier League start under his belt for this Tottenham Hotspur side. Bentancur lofts it out towards Mikey Moore. 2 Palace defenders out to meet him. Mikey Moore just retains possession and goes down, but it's going to be a corner rather than a free kick. With just a minute left on the clock as Palace look to throw on Jack Grealish. An interesting signing for Palace, one that went under the radar for me specifically. Wasn't aware that Palace had signed Grealish over the course of the summer. But with a minute on the clock, again, we don't really need to risk losing possession, risk Palace hitting us on a quick counter-attack, and instead we can look to work a short corner. And again, there was a little combination there in the box that was available to us. This one did come off. Rodrigo Bentancur couldn't quite pull the trigger on the shot, though, and this is exactly what we were worried about and exactly why we didn't just want to put the corner into the box directly. We knew that Palace would be dangerous on the counter, and they've found Jorgen Strand Larsen in the box. But it's Bart Verbruggen celebrating with his teammates who keeps us in it. At least for another 30 seconds or so. Strand Larsen wins the header again. But a comfortable save from Verbruggen this time does give us a less than comfortable 1-0 victory away from home in the end. Again, we controlled the game. We saw that little combination from Conor Gallagher and Dominic Solanke. The thing that we've been missing so far this season. As Roberto De Zerbi enters his 4th month in charge of Tottenham Hotspur, I think it's about time that we assess the performance of our squad. We've been trying to get a look at as many players as possible here early in the series, but still some favourites have emerged with Bart Verbruggen, Murillo, Pedro Porro and Dominic Solanke each playing 12 games for us so far. All of them have played minutes in every single Premier League game of the season up to this point. We said in episode 1 we didn't necessarily like the idea of relying on Dominic Solanke to score 25 goals per season, but he's already got 6 in the Premier League. That's given him a massive 9.22 overall form score, meaning he's the first name on the team sheet at the moment. New signings Nicholas Raskin and Malik Tillman have each made their impact on the squad with a 5.91 and a 6.42 overall form score respectively. Those performances have been borne out in game as well, with Nicholas Raskin playing 8 of our 10 Premier League games, and Malik Tillman, despite featuring in only 8 games so far this season, already has 4 goal contributions to his name. And we're going to be trying a slightly new shape in today's episode, a 4-2-3-1. We're going to be sitting in the 4-3-3 attack formation, but essentially it's going to be a 4-2-3-1. Something a little closer to the traditional De Zerbi setup. Navu Doggy at left back and Pedro Porro at right back, both venturing forward. Murillo and today Vuskovic sitting deep. Bentancur and Nicholas Raskin providing some additional cover as those wing backs plough forward. Malik Tillman, Dejan Kulusevski both cutting in off their respective flanks, with James Maddison providing the pivot and that creative fulcrum just behind Dominic Solanke. As we said, Solanke with that massive 8.23 team selection rating, the first name on the team sheet at the moment. The team selection tool favouring Luka Vuskovic at centre-back, returning after a short period out injured. We are without Xavi Simons, however. So the squad really starting to take shape now, as the players that are best suiting De Zerbi's style of play are beginning to emerge. And those that are going to be falling by the wayside starting to become less involved as the team selection tool makes its decisions. Newcastle with a brand new centre-back pairing today, but their team otherwise unchanged. It's Marquinhos and Eder Militao at the back for Newcastle today, as Anthony Gordon brings it down and combines with Lewis Hall. I fancy us away from home as Destiny Doggy heads clear twice in succession. Joel Linton bringing it down on the edge of the box and finding Jan Visser, who grazes the side netting. And despite Newcastle getting off to a quick start, they are struggling this season, and I do fancy us to grab a result here at St James's Park. Oh, it's a great challenge from Destiny Doggy, and he lays it off for Malik Tillman, who just plays it off Marquinhos, the new Newcastle centre-back. We've seen some good combinations here early in the game as James Maddison prepares to take the corner. We will deliver towards Vuskovic, and it looked as though he may win the header for a moment, but it's another new face in between the sticks this time for Newcastle as Trubin makes the grab. Newcastle look as though they're going to set up to press high today, so how often we'll see Bart Verbruggen dropping the ball at his feet and trying to play out from the back, I'm not too sure. Bentancur to the feet of Kulusevski with Pedro Porro on the overlap if he wants it, which he does. And it's a good run from Dominic Solanke up ahead of him. Can Solanke find Malik Tillman? Yes, he can. Tillman with the ball at his feet, and he puts it straight into the hands of the Newcastle keeper, Trubin. He cut Newcastle open 15 minutes into the game there. And I said I fancied our chances. I think if Newcastle are going to be pressing high, I think we're going to be able to find the gaps, pass between their lines, and potentially catch them napping. As Visser pressing for Bruggen, baiting him to do so. We saw how easily we cut Newcastle open last time they tried to press high. Inviting them onto us to hopefully replicate the same result. Maddison just tries to thread it through for Kulusevski, but it's cut out well by Lewis Hall. The pass probably not quite on there. Malik Tillman, just 2 minutes remaining in the half. It's a half that we've dominated, but a half in which we've failed to find the back of the net just yet. Can we change that just before half time? Malik Tillman. Ball into the feet of Destiny Udogie. He finds James Maddison. Drives towards goal. Cuts it onto his right foot. It's a great save from Trubin in the Newcastle goal. But Dominic Solanke is perfectly positioned to tap home the rebound. And we will go into the halftime break a goal up. Thanks to Dominic Solanke's 7th goal of the season. Looked as though the chance had gone, as Trubin made an excellent save. But it's Dominic Solanke who's most alert in the box. Little bit of luck there as the keeper parried it out right into his feet. But he beat Tonali to the ball. He beat the covering Lewis Hall to the ball. Not Lewis Miley. And he puts us ahead right on the stroke of half time. And it is not undeserved. It's the last kick of the first half. And we certainly deserve to go into the halftime break a goal up, as boos, faintly, but boos sound around St James's Park. Wissa looking to get Newcastle back into it early in the second period. Joel Linton finds Lewis Hall. Kulusevski overcommits a little bit in the press. And Lewis Hall finds a little bit of space. He does dig out a cross, but Wissa unlikely to beat Murillo in the air, and indeed he doesn't. Destiny Udogie can break with James Maddison ahead of him. And it's a beautiful pass with the outside of his foot up to Malik Tillman. Maddison once more. We have an overload on this left-hand side, and I thought we'd let it go to waste there. As Tillman drives, Udogie, Maddison, just trying to find some space to shoot. On the edge of the box here as Pedro Porro drives, shifts it onto his right foot, and it's actually a really good shot rather from Pedro Porro. Wasn't expecting that from him on the edge of the box. But those of you that are familiar with the channel, you will know we tend to choose kind of middling or, you know, bottom half of the table sides for our career mode series, as Murillo rises highest. So we are very much used to being the underdog. We are very much used to setting up in a counter-attacking style, allowing the opposition to have possession, looking to break where we can, but we are absolutely dominating today's game. Went into the halftime break with, I think, 68% possession. And we've enjoyed more possession than Newcastle here in the second half as well. Gordon looking to punish us. Great block from Pedro Porro, though. We saw a good attacking contribution from him at the other end. Good defensive contribution from him at this end. He's a player who's really starting to flourish under Roberto De Zerbi too. Harvey Barnes, though, looking to deliver. And the ball will fall to Pedro Porro. It's not a great defensive contribution from him this time, as he allows Newcastle a second chance. Good block on the edge of the box, though, from the Anthony Gordon shot. And Bart Verbruggen can collect the ball and settle. Raskin. It's a great ball into the feet of James Maddison. He finds Dominic Solanke. Solanke will drive. Just lay it off to Malik Tillman. Looks to cut inside. Gets a little bit of space. And it's a great save from Trubin. And I thought Kulusevski, as Solanke did earlier in the game, was just going to prod home the rebound. But it looks clear. We'll make a couple of changes, though. as Alfie Devine comes on for another appearance in place of James Maddison. Jed Spence also on in place of Destiny Udogie. Bentancur. And it's laid off by Alfie Devine to Nicholas Raskin. Raskin couldn't quite get the shot away though. That's a great challenge from Alfie Devine. Stealing the ball away from Tino Livramento. And he's dragged down by Livramento, who sees a yellow card. Don't see that too often. You rarely see the CPU fouling, let alone intentionally fouling. But Alfie Devine steals the ball away from Tino Livramento. Embarrasses him almost. Picks his pocket. Livramento's ego wouldn't allow Devine to get away with it. Newcastle's best move of the game sees Anthony Gordon lay it out in front of Bruno Guimaraes, who pulls it back to Anthony Gordon. And it's Joel Linton, and it's a great save from Bartford Bruggen. He's kept us ahead in the game. So we deal with the corner well. But it's lofted into the box again. Voltamada stealing in at the back post. And rising above Jed Spence. Turns their header towards goal. Bartford Bruggen pushes over. And it's cleared off the line. We are riding our luck here in the final few moments of this game. What a challenge from Nicholas Raskin. But Newcastle not just knocking on the door, but trying to bang it down. And I think, as Mathis Tell collects, that should give us the time, the space, to just carry the ball up the pitch, see out the final couple of moments. And it's a couple of moments that easily could have seen us drop points, but it does look as though we're going to hold on to all three. So it's a pretty lackluster affair when we faced Arsenal earlier in the season. Hoping that it's not a repeat performance here today. I said I fancied us to grab something away from home against Newcastle at St James's Park. I maybe don't fancy us quite so much here against Arsenal, but that doesn't mean we're not going to go out and try and win the game. Arsenal with a bit more about them though, and we're seeing this already. Ødegaard strikes from range. Probably was never going to beat Bartford Bruggen from there, but does force a save from our keeper. Trossard finds the run of Gyökeres, who looks for Trossard in return, and it was a pinpoint pass from Victor Gyökeres. Kind of pass you would expect from a Leandro Trossard. The roles reversed there though. Pedro Porro drives. Calafiore. Don't fancy my chances taking on Calafiore with Pedro Porro, to be honest. Maddison. Porro once again. Once again we'll turn back. Once again we'll find Rodrigo Bentancur. And again it's these situations, these areas that we need to find that clinical pass. We managed to do it in the last episode, and I thought we had done it there. Maddison trying to play the little pass around the corner to Dejan Kulusevski, doesn't quite get it right. But we saw that in the last episode. Conor Gallagher playing the little reverse pass to Dominic Solanke, who finished. It's those kinds of combinations that we need to try and find, particularly when teams are going to set up so well and so organised defensively as Arsenal are so far here today. Saka finds Gyökeres. Cut out expertly by Murillo. Luck goes against him though. And the ball falls to Bukayo Saka once again. It was really well cut out by Murillo. Very undeserved that Arsenal just retained possession. And that has allowed Bukayo Saka to cut inside onto his left foot and open the scoring. I would say slightly against the run of play. And I would say Arsenal certainly don't deserve the goal in that specific situation. We've seen mistakes from Murillo early this season. It certainly wasn't a mistake from him there. He did really well to cut out the pass from the Arsenal man. And it's just unfortunate the ball bounced straight back to an Arsenal player. Found its way into the feet of Bukayo Saka, who expertly fires past Bartford Bruggen. And I hope we don't just fall flat now in this game, and particularly in this first period, because we were going toe-to-toe with Arsenal at least, if not more so, up until that goal. And it's exactly the kind of goal that can suck momentum out of a side. Let's not go too down though. Bukayo Saka, one-on-one with Destiny Udogie, crosses into a good area, but Pedro Porro heads clear. James Maddison, Solanke ahead of him. Kulusevski to his right as well. Both players tracked well by Arsenal. Pedro Porro, who headed the ball away at the other end, is up in support in the Arsenal final third now. Once again, one-on-one with Ricardo Calafiore. And once again, he shies away from the one-on-one duel. Kulusevski, Bentancur. Now Arsenal are back in their shape. It's going to be tough to break him down from here. Feels like the chance is gone. Raskin. Bentancur finds Maddison. And now Pedro Porro. Lift it up towards Dominic Solanke at the back post. And that is some calm, composed, almost casual defending from, I think, William Saliba. Brings it down on his chest and allows David Raya to collect. Excellently won back by Nicholas Raskin, though, and gives the ball straight back to, I believe, Urian Timber. Doggy to the feet of Maddison. With Malik Tillman up ahead of him. One-on-one with Urian Timber. Brilliant skill from Malik Tillman. And curls one from the edge of the box. And I thought he had matched or even exceeded Bukayo Saka at the other end. Bukayo Saka, whatever you can do, Malik Tillman can do better. Inches, millimetres maybe even away. It was a beautiful little bit of skill from Malik Tillman to beat Urian Timber to the spot inside. And he managed to get his shot away, and it must have grazed the post on the way past. So Calafiore's in trouble here. He manages to twist and turn his way out of that trouble. But Bentancur will continue to press high, as will Kulusevski. And it's a rash challenge from Bentancur in the end, which will see him, deservedly so, receive a yellow card just before half-time. Not sure what he has to argue about, Bentancur. Trossard. Sending Pedro Porro this way and then that. Headed clear by Christian Romero. It will be an Arsenal corner late in this first half. We know how dangerous they are from set pieces, but this time they do go short. But Verbruggen can claim. Do we have a quick break on? We do have Dejan Kulusevski in space. And I think, is that Jakub Kivior? If it is, I fancy Kulusevski's chances here. Kulusevski. Oh, and he's got the pass all wrong. James Maddison is right there. Kulusevski beats Kivior once, turns back, beats him again. Has an easy pass to James Maddison inside, and he gets it all wrong. Maddison would have had so much space to get a shot away there to potentially pull a goal back with the last kick of the first half. Instead, we go in 1-0 down. Again, we trail Arsenal. So I think De Zerbi could easily have made changes for this second period. But it is the same 11 who emerge onto the pitch for the second half here at the Emirates. Considered taking Dejan Kulusevski off, who has been pretty disappointing down the right-hand side. Gyökeres lays it off for Declan Rice, who's found Victor Gyökeres, and how are we not 2-0 down? But Verbruggen with a miraculous save to keep us in it. Probably couldn't have complained if we did go 2-0 down, to be honest. I felt pretty aggrieved at conceding that first goal, but that was a beautifully worked move by Arsenal. And an incredible save by Bart Verbruggen is all that keeps us within touching distance, really. But we are certainly going to have to shape up if we want to get anything from this game. We are certainly going to have to shape up if we want to achieve that board expectation and get a win over Arsenal this season. Malik Tillman, one-on-one with William Saliba. Cuts it back inside for Dominic Solanke, who bursts into the box. David Raya makes the save. Probably Dominic Solanke should have taken the shot on earlier. But again, it's excellent feat from Malik Tillman to forge the opportunity. Ødegaard into the path of Saka. Looked as though we might be in trouble for a moment there, but we managed to find our shape. Raskin gets his foot in. Ødegaard beats his man. Doubles Arsenal's lead. We should not have allowed that. We dealt with the first threat from Arsenal, just as we did for the first goal. Murillo dealt with that threat. Destiny Udogie and Nicholas Raskin between them dealt with this one. But again, we've been too soft in allowing Arsenal to win back possession. And it's Ødegaard who fires left-footed into the far corner this time. Again, Bart Verbruggen helpless. Not too much he can do about that. And it looks like it is going to be another defeat at the hands of Arsenal. So Dominic Solanke does make way for Mathis Tel. Wilson Odobert to come on as well. And we are going to have to press hard to get a goal back and to get anything out of this game. But from 2-0 down, I really don't fancy our chances. Divine. Destiny Udogie bounding forward. Cuts inside, beats Jurrien Timber. And somehow Saliba has passed through Destiny Udogie there to get the ball clear. Good challenge from Raskin though. Finds Pat Matassar. Malik Tillman. Destiny Udogie. Tillman ahead of him. Looks for Mathis Tel. Finds Mathis Tel. Can't get the shot away. Again, just trying to find half a yard of space on the edge of the box. But potentially Raskin or Alfie Devine could be well positioned there for a little layoff. If not, try that same curled shot into the far corner that's given Arsenal 2 goals in the game, but Mathis Tel could do neither. The Arsenal fans very much enjoying these final few moments of the game as they watch their team rack up the passes and see out the final couple of minutes to what's amounted to, in the end, a pretty comfortable victory for their side. Gyökeres looking to pad the scoreline potentially in the dying moments as Martinelli finds Zubamendi. Surely the referee's whistle will go and will put us out of our misery, and indeed it does. We approach the end of 2026. I think it's fair to say it's been a pretty middling start to Roberto De Zerbi's first season in charge. We find ourselves in 7th place, approaching the midpoint of the season, in amongst those teams vying for a Europa League spot and within touching distance of the group of clubs who will be vying for the Champions League spots. And with a massive 18 points up for grabs in today's episode against a group of teams who, for the most part, we shouldn't struggle too much against, I think we have an opportunity to put ourselves in a great position heading into the second half of the season. But we only manage a point away from home. Pat Matassar opening the scoring half an hour into the game, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin equalising just 5 minutes later. It's a pretty poor performance throughout the squad, with Pat Matassar clearly the standout. Archie Gray and Pat Matassar evidently impressed enough to earn a second consecutive start in our next game against Everton, where we'll be trying another slight adaptation of our system in a 4-3-3 holding shape, with Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie venturing forward to hopefully overwhelm Everton in the middle of the park. We are still trying to refine our system, to tweak the tactics until we can get the very most out of our squad. I feel like we're getting relatively close, and the squad is settling into this new way of playing under Roberto De Zerbi. But we can certainly improve, as we've been saying throughout the season, really, especially in the final third. But we'll see how the 4-3-3 holding plays for us today. Archie Gray providing just the single pivot. But as we said, Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie getting forward to hopefully overwhelm that Everton double pivot in the centre of their midfield. Udogie, a burst forward early. He's got Dominic Solanke up alongside him, but Udogie just buries it himself with his right foot. Clinical finish from Destiny Udogie. His second goal, he's got an assist or 2 so far this season as well. But that is exactly the kind of start we were looking to get off to here today. Everton completely helpless, really, from the kickoff. Dominic Solanke making a nuisance of himself, if anything. But Destiny Udogie, calm, composed, beats Jordan Pickford. 3 minutes into the game, we are a goal up and David Moyes is incensed. Garner into the feet of Barry with a shot from range that tested Bart Verbruggen probably far more than it should have. I guess the ball must have moved in the air there, because it caused some real difficulty for our keeper, who we saw have a couple of difficult moments in the last episode. It's been pretty solid and pretty reliable overall for us this season. But he cost us points against West Ham, undoubtedly. Dwight McNeil. One-on-one with Pedro Porro, who makes the block and forces it out for an Everton corner. Everton responding well to going down a goal early here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But we've dealt with the pressure well. Branthwaite turns a header towards goal. Branthwaite, a player that we had our eye on over the summer, ended up going with Murillo instead. But Jared Branthwaite, certainly a player to keep an eye on. Iliman Ndiaye, good feet down the right-hand side for Everton, but that's a brave header away from Murillo. Ndiaye once again, Everton really growing into this game and putting pressure on from a goal down. They've dominated the last 10-15 minutes or so. It's a great challenge from Udogie though, and the clearance will find Dejan Kulusevski. He pops it inside for Pat Matasar, spotting Malik Tillman with the big diagonal ball, but he gets far too much on it. Alcaraz driving at Vuskovic. Vuskovic patient defending, and it's a fantastic save by Bart Verbruggen. The defending from Vuskovic, patient at first and then suddenly too patient, as he failed to put the foot in and steal the ball away from Alcaraz. The referee does pull it back for a free kick, which Malik Tillman will take and just chip the ball into the box, looking for Vuskovic, who can't quite bring it down, and Everton scramble clear. But 3 minutes remain on what has been a thoroughly uneventful first half. And Dominic Solanke will make way at half-time as we bring Mathis Tell on in that false 9 position. Looking to drop into that midfield and overwhelm Everton even more. I thought we were going to dominate Everton in the midfield today, but really it's gone the other way. Everton have been excellent. These are the kind of areas that we want Mathis Tell to be picking up. Dominic Solanke was far too isolated in that first period. Mathis Tell dropping a little deeper and lofting the ball forward to Pat Matasar. Is he onside? No. The linesman's flag does go up. It was an open goal for Kulusevski. Jordan Pickford making the initial save, but Kulusevski could have just tapped in the rebound to make it 2. It did look as though Pat Matasar had drifted offside, but immediately we look much, much better with Mathis Tell in that false 9 position. Oh, and Destiny Udogie steals the ball away and bounds forward. Malik Tillman up in support. Nicholas Raskin the same. Mathis Tell bursting through on goal. It's a perfectly timed run. A simple pass from Nicholas Raskin, and Mathis Tell, the half-time substitute, doubles our lead and should really secure us all 3 points. It was starting to look a little bit ropey. Everton, probably the better side in the first half overall, and it was the simple fact that we managed to catch them napping at the very beginning of the game that allowed us to go into the half-time break a goal up. And it's been looking more and more like Everton were going to grab a goal back in the game, but I think Mathis Tell has probably done enough there to ensure that we walk away from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with all 3 points. Oh, but Tillman will steal the ball away, pressing high. And he will pull it back to Mathis Tell, who surely will make it 3 and put the game beyond all doubt, and he does. Excellent pressing by Malik Tillman. Exactly what his new manager, Roberto De Zerbi, asks of him. Steals it away from the Everton left-back, who has had a nightmare there. And what an impact substitution it has been from Mathis Tell. He's completely changed his game in the second half. As I said, it looked as though Everton were going to be able to work their way back into the game, and we were probably lucky at halftime that they hadn't worked their way back into the game. They didn't exactly dominate and create chance after chance. It was a pretty uneventful first half, but Everton probably had the better of it, and a 3-0 scoreline at this point doesn't really do justice to the way the game has gone, and is pretty harsh against Everton, but we will certainly take it. I'd certainly take a similar performance and the same result here against Aston Villa. Villa, a team that we probably should be competing with for a Europa League spot this season, but They haven't had a great start to the year. Down in 15th place, I think. But they still have a strong squad. They still have Unai Emery at the helm. And they still very much need to be respected. Pedro Porro. Is it into the path of Malik Tillman early? Mathis Tel just strikes across goal, but blocked by a Villa defender and out for a corner. It's exactly the positive start that we need, though, if we are to build a little momentum in this episode to close out 2026. The corner in towards Mathis Tel. It won't fall for Xavi Simons. And Ollie Watkins can bring Villa up the pitch. Tielemans into the feet of Ollie Watkins, who turns and strikes. But Verbruggen gets down quick. Low and away to his left-hand side. Makes a good save. But it's been a positive start for both sides. Opportunities at both ends. Within the first 5 or 10 minutes here at Villa Park. Oh, and Donyell Marlon has broken away from Jed Spence. Left him in his wake, really. Spence with just about enough pace to get back and recover his position, but looked dangerous there for a moment. Villa have committed bodies forward here. If they give up possession in this kind of situation, they could well be in trouble. But Marlon drives, falls for Kamara, and instead he puts Villa ahead. I thought we'd done enough to cut that out, but the ball bounces off Christian Romero right into the path of Boubacar Kamara. And he gives Villa the lead within about 15 minutes. It's, yeah, off the foot of Murillo. And then Christian Romero can't quite adjust to clear the ball away. Probably not too much but Verbruggen can do from such short range. Tillman chasing, wins the ball back. Xavi Simons plays it out in front of Malik Tillman with Mathis Tel at the back post. Found by Malik Tillman. And the header from Mathis Tel is a tame one. And it's a comfortable save for the Villa keeper. Did really, really well to win the ball back there, Malik Tillman. Travelled the width of the pitch. And James Maddison has managed to do the same. So Villa corner. Half an hour into the game, which is delivered towards the back post where I think Morgan Rogers wins the header. And somehow the ball falls to the feet of Ollie Watkins in the box and he makes it 2-0 Villa. I think he was the only Villa player in the 6-yard box where there were 5, 6 Spurs defenders. Yep, Ollie Watkins surrounded by, it's 5, 6 if you include the keeper, Spurs shirts. Yet still it's Ollie Watkins first to the ball. Tucks it in the bottom corner, doubles Villa's lead. Maddison lofts it up towards Malik Tillman, who can bring it down, pulls it back for James Maddison, who pulls a goal back in the tie. 35 minutes in, it's 2-1. Really nice move, very well worked. Maddison with a ball lofted beautifully over the back line. Luca Digne scrambling. But as soon as James Maddison had released that pass to Malik Tillman, he followed it up with a forward run that allowed him to find a bit of space in the box and grab us a goal back in the fixture. Oh, well cut out by Pedro Porro. Now we need Malik Tillman to make a forward run, just as James Maddison did. He's done exactly that, and all Malik Tillman needs to do is find Mathis Tel, and the pass is a terrible one. Straight to the Villa goalkeeper. That surely would have been 2-2 before half-time. And I have to apologise, but we've actually conceded an additional goal going into the half-time break. Villa caught me off guard. Wasn't ready to commentate the play. And Boubacar Kamara grabs a second goal in the first half to put Villa 3-1 up. And I kind of fancied us to come back in the second half and grab a result. But now that we're 3-1 down, it feels like a mountain to climb again. Malik Tillman looking for Xavi Simons far side, and he's found him. What a ball. What a touch from Simons. And the chance goes wide. He squanders the opportunity. What a crossfield pass that was from Malik Tillman to Xavi Simons. Brilliant control to bring it down in his stride. And to keep it away from Matty Cash. He'd done all the hard work. Then all he had to do was at least get a shot on target. Spence into the feet of Tillman. Really going to have to push here if we are going to grab a goal back and then eventually a result from this game. Madison finds Alfie Devine, the substitute, who cuts inside onto his left foot, strikes, pulls another one back. Alfie Devine with another immediate impact off the bench. We saw it in his debut against Brighton. Came on and immediately grabbed a goal. He's done exactly the same again here, and Alfie Devine looks so dangerous cutting in off that right-hand side. We've got Xavi Simons and Malik Tillman on the left. Perhaps we just park Alfie Devine on the right-hand side, make him a fixture of this team going forward, and allow him to do the same from the opposite flank, because a bit of space for Villa down the left. Yuri Tielemans up in support, and Ollie Watkins immediately makes it 4-2. It's goals galore at Villa Park. We haven't seen too many high-scoring games so far in the series. Saw a couple in the very first episode, but since then it's been a lot of 1, 2, maybe 3 goal games. Got 6 here already at Villa Park. There's still 25 minutes left to play. Big win from Conor Gallagher in the air. Malik Tillman finds Rodrigo Bentancur with Nicholas Raskin up in support. Strikes from range, is pretty much straight down the Villa keeper's throat, but he parries it away rather than collecting. And the ball will go out for a Tottenham Hotspur corner. We are pressing to grab a goal back late here. Pedro Porro to deliver. Murillo can't win it. Porro will, of course, be first to the second ball, though. Malik Tillman. Conor Gallagher's turn to strike. This time the Villa keeper can hold on. Alfie Devine finds Nicholas Raskin. There is not a lot of time left in this game. If we are going to get anything out of it, we're going to have to do something pretty quick. Malik Tillman finds Alfie Devine, takes on his man, lays it out in front of Pedro Porro. Nicholas Raskin. What is that? What is that pass? It's about how our day has gone today. We've been poor. Far less than clinical in the final third. Couldn't really handle what Villa were throwing at us defensively either. And it looks like we are going to be losing this game 4-2. Nicholas Raskin just can't get anything going in the dying minutes, but even a goal back at this point would be nothing more than a consolation. Because Villa 2 goals to the good. Probably have enough to see this game out through the final moments. Nicely worked from Fulham early. Pedro Porro can't get the foot in. Namdi Collins, though, can. Good first impression on the Tottenham Hotspur fans, who is making his debut in front of. Got a lot of potential, the young centre-back. Hasn't really had a look in so far. Murillo has really settled into his role at the back. And we've got a number of players who are vying for a place in the side alongside him. Luka Vuskovic being one of them. Christian Romero, of course. Club captain and one of our most experienced defenders. That's a great run from Xavi Simons. Dejan Kulusevski can't quite pick him out. And then, of course, we do have the likes of Kevin Danzo in the squad as well. So, plenty of competition for places for Namdi Collins, but very, very young, very, very high upside, lots of potential, and could well be one for the future rather than one who makes an impact in the immediate future. Spurs fans getting behind the side as they watch their team win a corner, which Dejan Kulusevski will deliver. Namdi Collins back post can't win the header. Will fall for Rodrigo Bentancur here, though, who will strike from range. And the Fulham keeper, I assume it's Bernd Leno, makes the save. There's space for Fulham down the left-hand side once again, and it's Alex Iwobi. Good defending from Nicholas Raskin, forces the ball backwards. Prevents Fulham from continuing to charge forward. Fulham continuing to work, though. It's a good save from Bart Verbruggen in the end. But Fulham enjoying some good possession early in the game. And again, they look to be the better side, which seems to be happening far more often than I would like. Murillo stepping forward from centre-back. And making a driving run, Murillo. Finds Kulusevski. And the cross is a poor one. And after a thoroughly uneventful first half yet again, suddenly a bit of excitement for the fans as Murillo steps forward from centre-back. Certainly wouldn't hate seeing him do that more and more often. Simons, can he find space to shoot? He finds space to drive, and he does manage to get the shot away. But again, it's parried away by Bernd Leno. Another decent save by the Fulham keeper, Raskin. To Malik Tillman. Again, just trying to weave his way through and create half a yard of space to get the shot away. He doesn't manage to do so. Oh, stolen away by Nicholas Raskin. Lobbed up towards Dejan Kulusevski with Dominic Solanke in the 6-yard box, but cut out by Fulham. We are starting to press the later this game goes. Only about 20 minutes or so left. 25 with stoppage time potentially. We are finally starting to look like the better side here. Malik Tillman again stealing the ball away, and that's got to be a foul. Referee lets it go. Nicholas Raskin leaves one on the Fulham man in response, which I think is going to draw not only a free kick but a yellow card for Nicholas Raskin as well. Fulham also looking to take all 3 points from this game, though. They have a corner late, and Calvin Bassey hits the top of the net with the header. Heard the net ripple, got a little bit worried for a second, but and it goes wide from the big Fulham defender. Mathis Teller's drifted wide this time, again looking for Dominic Solanke, but again failing to find him. And Fulham are just forcing us to work the ball wide and just clip the ball into the box because they're defending the central areas of the pitch so well. And we've certainly looked a better side over the final half an hour or so of the game, but we still haven't been able to break the deadlock. And with just a single minute of injury time, it looks as though we are going to fail to score. We've just got to avoid conceding at the other end now to come away with a point. Surely the whistle's going to go. And I think now that Pat Matasar has stolen possession away from Fulham at will. But Tottenham fans not happy with what they've seen. It's only going to be 8 total points out of 18 in a month where we probably should have been aiming for something in the 12 to 15 point range, I would say. Played 6 games in the month of December, none of which have been against particularly difficult opposition. Aston Villa by far the best team on paper that we've played, and they're down in the bottom half of the table this season. Calendar year is about to tick over here in our realistic Tottenham Hotspur career mode, which means the January transfer window is about to open. We did some pretty big business in the summer, spending 180 million on the likes of Murillo, Malik Tillman, Bart Verbruggen. Those signings have made a big impact already. Bart Verbruggen leading the Premier League in clean sheets, and Malik Tillman leading our squad in assists. So we likely won't be looking to do big business again here in the winter window. However, sitting in just 7th place in the Premier League, 10 points behind 4th place Manchester City, I think we could certainly benefit from adding to the fringes of our squad to help us push for a European place over the second half of the season. We're pulling no punches against newly promoted Coventry City, who sit just outside the relegation zone in 17th. We've gone with pretty much our strongest 11, arguably our strongest 11, and we're looking not only for 3 points but a dominant performance here away from home. Malik Tillman breaking the Coventry lines for the first time in the game. Coventry have defended very, very well so far, and they continue to do so. Maddison, Xavi Simons on the left, can cut inside and find Dominic Solanke, who in turn can look for Malik Tillman, who is offside. Tillman puts it in the back of the net. Linesman's flag goes up. I thought Dominic Solanke had released the pass a little bit too late, and you see Malik Tillman just hesitate in the run there. We're pressing high. We win the ball back. Solanke again finding Malik Tillman. Is it offside again? Oh, certainly he was onside that time. Solanke finding himself in an interesting position out on the right flank, and Malik Tillman had drifted a good yard or maybe even a yard and a half offside. Coventry have defended well so far. They've been very, very difficult to break down. And they're looking to start to grow into the game a little more offensively now and start to cause us a little bit of trouble. Home fans get behind the side as Jack Ridoni prepares to take the corner, which will be delivered to the near post and nodded away by Dominic Solanke. Simons will find Nicholas Raskin. Good feet to skip away from the Coventry defender, and Pat Matassar will lay the ball out in front of Malik Tillman. Coventry with bodies back now, but Pedro Porro up in support. We'll find Nicholas Raskin and Xavi Simons with Dominic Solanke through the middle. But it's again good defending from Coventry. Well won by Pedro Porro though. Malik Tillman can drive. Danger not yet over for Coventry City. Pat Matassar. James Maddison, edge of the box. Nicholas Raskin, space to turn and shoot. And actually does a really good job to get a powerful shot on target. Turned away by the Coventry City keeper, but things opening up a little bit towards the end of the first half. James Maddison will deliver the corner. In search of Luka Vuskovic. The corner just evades him. It'll be Pat Matassar's turn to strike. Instead, he fakes the shot and cuts in onto his left foot. His weaker foot, but it gave him a half a yard of space. Murillo was well positioned there, but James Maddison couldn't find him with a little pass around the corner, and it looks like Coventry will not only deal with the danger, but will be able to break going the other way. Jed Spence coming across to stop the cross into a dangerous area, and Coventry take the lead. All from a corner at the other end, and we were looking for 3 points in a dominant display, and it looks like we're going into the half-time break, a goal down. Credit where it's due though. Coventry been excellent in the first half. Made it really, really difficult for us. They've come into the match with a clear game plan, and they've executed it to perfection. Defended excellently. Caught us on a quick counter-attack. Put the ball into a dangerous area. Bart Verbruggen didn't come for it. 1-0 Coventry. So changes made by Roberto De Zerbi at half-time. The first half performance not close to being good enough. And it's not only going to be a change in personnel, but a change in shape as well. We are returning to a formation and a system that we have used previously on the channel. Back in the Borussia Dortmund career mode. Under Nuri Sahin. It took us a little while to develop this particular system, but it's a 4-2-4. We've got Dominic Solanke up front in the kind of Garassi role as kind of a true number 9. We've got Mathis Tell alongside him in that Max Bayer, Yusufa Mukoko type role, the false 9. And then we've got Malik Tillman and Xavi Simons on the left and the right respectively. We've got Nicholas Raskin and Pat Matassar in the centre of midfield, with Jed Spence and Pedro Porro providing support from their full-back roles. But it's going to be a more direct style of play than we've been playing so far. Nicholas Raskin, ball lobbed forward for Dominic Solanke, who takes it in his stride. Can he equalise here? No. It's an unorthodox save from the Coventry keeper, but he does just about enough to keep the ball out of the back of the net. And Mathis Tell will find Malik Tillman, who will loft it up towards Dominic Solanke, headed clear by Coventry City, who continue to just stand like a brick wall in front of their goal. We do look more threatening in this system, but still not enough to break Coventry down, who continue to hold on to that 1-goal lead that they've managed to grab. Nicely worked though. Xavi Simons, Malik Tillman back post, too close to the keeper, who will claim and who will set Coventry going in the opposite direction. Udogi bursting forward, lofting it up towards Dominic Solanke at the back post, instead blocked and out for a corner, which Pedro Porro will deliver. In search of Luka Vuskovic, who equalises. Grab the ball, put it back on the spot. We need 3 points. Luka Vuskovic gets his first goal for Tottenham to bring us level in the tie. It's a really good corner from Pedro Porro, drops it right on Vučkovic's head, about 7 yards out, just outside the 6-yard box. And I thought the Coventry keeper had done enough to keep the ball out of the back of the net. Fortunately, the handy gets to the ball, not quite strong enough to tip it over. We could well come away with 3 points from this game after all. Mathis Tel finds Conor Gallagher. There's Malik Tillman at the back post. It's got to be. It's a miraculous save. Absolutely miraculous save. Mathis Tel steals the ball away, finds Conor Gallagher. It's a pinpoint cross to Malik Tillman, who puts his body on the line with a diving header. And I thought we grabbed all 3 points in the game there. Malik Tillman inside to Destiny Udogie with a chance to win it all. And he puts it wide. No. We saw Destiny Udogie score from a similar situation in the last episode. That very early on against Everton, if I remember correctly. Finds himself in the exact same situation again. Goes with the left foot this time instead of the right. Gets it all wrong. I think potentially that might be our last chance to win this game squandered. It's another pretty subpar performance and result against Bournemouth. Poor ratings all over the squad, but Dominic Solanke, the standout, grabbing a 90th minute goal against his former club to give us another point. We will be switching to that 4-2-4 formation for our next game against Burnley. This just in the FA Cup though, so we'll be rotating the squad along with the change in shape. So we'll see Antonin Kinski start in goal. We'll see Archie Gray, Namdi Collins, Alfie Devine all feature as well. And Alejo Veliz will be making his first appearance of the season up front alongside Mathis Tel. FA Cup, not exactly a priority for us this season, but the board of directors do of course want us to make the quarterfinals at the very least. And the FA Cup of course is an additional way into Europe. And we would like to be a European side again sooner rather than later. So although the FA Cup not necessarily a priority, we do want to go as far as possible in the competition. Mathis Tel. Nice little combination with Dejan Kulusevski down the left-hand side. And Conor Gallagher will spot the run of Pat Matasar into a good area. Can't pick him out with the pass though. Andy Collins will knock it down for Jed Spence. Mathis Tel dropping deep, cuts inside, and it's a rash challenge from the Burnley defender. We'll try and pick out Alejo Veliz here, who will lay it off to Pat Matasar. And it's a quick free kick that catches Burnley napping, but everybody but the goalkeeper caught out there. He managed to stay alert. Cut out well by Conor Gallagher. Finds the feet of Alejo Veliz with Dejan Kulusevski on the overlap. And Mathis Tel making a run into the box. Tel picks it up. Turns a shot towards goal. Cut out by the Burnley defender though. But we look a lot more dynamic in this particular system. And although Roberto De Zerbi does prefer a more possession style of play, I think perhaps we have to commit to the fact that that style of play just hasn't really been working for us this season. Gallagher. Kulusevski. Burnley defenders left one on Gallagher there, but we continue the attack nonetheless. Jed Spence finding Mathis Tel, who lofts it up towards Alejo Veliz, who squeezes it in past the Burnley keeper to score on his debut. It's another debut goal this season. This time for the young striker Alejo Veliz. And I'm not sure how he managed to squeeze that one in at the near post. We could have taken the free kick. Conor Gallagher being fouled around the halfway line. It's not the best cross from Mathis Tel. But it bounces in front of Alejo Veliz, who catches it on the half volley. And we couldn't see the ball crossed the line there, but the Burnley goalkeeper very poorly positioned. Burnley, edge of the box. Strike towards goal. It's a good save from Antonin Kinski. Hasn't really been called upon too much in the game so far. But alert when he needed to be. And Alejo Veliz, a goal to his name already. And Kulusevski has to do a better job of bringing that down. Veliz put it on a plate for him. Just needed to take it in his stride, Kulusevski, and he surely would have been in on goal. Oh, nice ball into the feet of the Burnley striker. Good defending in the end from Kevin Danzo to force the ball out for a corner, which will be delivered into the box. Archie Gray will note it down for Alfie Devine, who can break and who can spot Mathis Tel through the middle, and who plays a pinpoint pass into the feet of Mathis Tel. Surely he's got the pace to keep up with the Burnley defender. Stay a yard ahead of him, which he managed to do, but perfectly timed save from the Burnley keeper. We really should be going into the half-time break 2-0 up. So corner late in the half for Burnley. This time they win the header and manage to nod it towards goal. And again we have a quick counter-attack with Alfie Devine on this right-hand side, found by Antonin Kinski. Devine looked for Mathis Tell. We get the luck of the bounce for a change. And Mathis Tell can cut inside onto his left foot, and he can bury this one. It's not the best finish. It's pretty close to the Burnley keeper, but he doesn't do enough to keep the ball out. And it's going to be Mathis Tell's first goal in the FA Cup. And hopefully there'll be many more to come. Hopefully he can lead the way for us in the competition. Burnley still looking to grab a goal back in the tie. Taken down just outside the penalty area. But the pass a poor one. Jed Spence managing to cut it out. And Xavi Simons, the substitute, can bring us up the pitch. Bit of a loose pass from Aleo Valise, but James Maddison does collect. And Conor Gallagher into the feet of Dejan Kulusevski. Looking for Valise. This time the keeper does get enough on it to lift it over the bar and out for a corner. But Alejo Valise looks very, very good, leading the line for us. Jed Spence driving forward from his left back position. Slips it through for Conor Gallagher. Is he offside? If he's not, it's a certain goal. But it looks as though he is. Pulls it back across goal for Dejan Kulusevski to tap home. But it did look as though Conor Gallagher strayed offside there. And he is closer than I thought. The defender on the far side making it slightly tighter than I initially thought at first glance. Although Burnley did manage to grab a goal back late in the game, it was only a consolation. We followed that up with another win over Roberto De Zerbi's former club Brighton and a draw against Sunderland. And that means we could close out the episode and the month of January undefeated if we come away with the result in our third North London derby of the season. And we will be returning to that 4-2-4 system that we said earlier in the episode we've used previously with Borussia Dortmund. The systems look good against lesser opposition in the episode so far, but let's put it to the test against Arsenal. So we finally get a shot at Arsenal at home. They've beaten us twice at the Emirates so far this season. And the board, of course, do want us to beat Arsenal at least once. We can't beat them in 2 consecutive fixtures now. I mean, unless we face them in the FA Cup as well as the Carabao Cup later this season. But I would be fine with 1 win in 3 attempts in the North London derby this season at the very least. It's going to be a tall task though. But for Bruggen claims, let's look to get off to a positive start early here. Maddison into the feet of Pedro Porro. James Maddison once more. It's a good run from Dominic Solanke, but a little too early. Porro looks for Solanke, brings it down, strikes across goal. It's going to end up going out for a throw, but positive start here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Big switch of play is on from Malik Tillman to Xavi Simons. Simons looks for the run of Mathis Tell. David Raya quick off his line to claim, but it's an ambitious pass from Xavi Simons. Nicely worked from Arsenal in response. Saka delivering. Christian Romero trying to head clear. Doesn't quite deal with the danger the first time, but does manage to deal with it on the second occasion. Solanke. It's a really good run from Malik Tillman. And it's a perfect pass from Dominic Solanke. And Malik Tillman will strike this time, and it's a fantastic save from David Raya. Murillo steps forward with the ball at his feet though. Tillman tries to shift it onto his right. But it's good defending from Ricardo Calafiore. And it's well cut out by Christian Romero. And now we need to look to break. Arsenal committing bodies forward. James Maddison spots Xavi Simons out on the left-hand side once again. Mathis Tell. It's another switch of play, this time to Malik Tillman. Who will find James Maddison. Has to just retain possession. And Malik Tillman can't quite find Mathis Tell coming across the penalty area. But we do look a lot better in this shape. We look more dynamic, more fluid. More dangerous going forward is the most important thing. And again, nicely worked. And again, there are bodies to aim for in the box, but headed clear by William Saliba. Tillman brings it down. Finds Xavi Simons. And Mathis Tel allowed the ball to run across his face there. Hearing the shout from Xavi Simons behind him, I would assume. Good feet from Tel. Gets to the byline. Turns back. Xavi Simons. Into James Maddison, who pops it into Pat Matar, who opens the scoring. 1-0 up against Arsenal at home. I don't think we've led Arsenal this season. Have we even scored against Arsenal this season? I don't remember the exact scores from the earlier fixtures. But that was excellently worked. That was the clinical pass and finish that we've needed in the final third throughout this season that we've struggled to find, really. We've seen flashes of it a couple of times, but we look far more dynamic, far more fluid in this system. And that's shown there with James Maddison picking out Pat Matar, who had a really slow start to the season, to be honest. Was barely struggling, or barely managing, rather, to get into the starting 11. But our team selection tool gave him a run out. He put in a good performance, earned another one, and he's just been stacking good performance upon good performance as Gabriel Martinelli almost equalises at the other end. But Pat Matar has been stacking good performances and has kept him in the side. And he rewards Roberto De Zerbi for those continued selections with a goal. Arsenal looking to get back into the game just before half-time. 5 minutes to go until the break. And a looping shot from Gabriel Martinelli tests Bart Verbruggen. But he does rise to the challenge and make the save. Of course, we know how dangerous Arsenal can be from corners. Declan Rice will deliver. Looking for Saliba. Ball doesn't quite fall for Gyökeres, and instead Pedro Porro can carry it clear. Xavi Simons looking to get in behind on that left-hand side. That's an outrageous challenge. Pedro Porro just drives, carries us up the field, puts the team on his back. Zubamendi wipes him out from behind. Deserved yellow card. Declan Rice. Just a minute of injury time here in the first half to see out. We are going to go in to the half-time break 1-0 up. Bart Verbruggen makes the save, allows us to do so. Positive first half here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Pat Matar grabbing a goal to put us ahead, but we have indeed kept Victor Gyökeres under wraps. And we'll look to do the same in the second half. And Xavi Simons early, who looks for Mathis Tel, just about finds him. It's the turn back once again, though. Simons looking for a little 1-2 with Pat Matar. We will work it into the feet of Pedro Porro instead. Maddison clips the ball out to Malik Tillman. Takes on Ricardo Calafiori. Just about beats him. And Maddison will curl one from the edge of the box, and it's with his left foot. But it's narrowly wide. We started the first half in positive fashion. We start the second half in equally positive fashion. Gyökeres finds Havertz, who levels the scoring. Just as we were saying, we kept Victor Gyökeres under wraps. He grabs an assist to bring Arsenal level in the tie. And it's Kai Havertz, the player we didn't really see in either of the two fixtures earlier this season. But it's a nicely worked move from Arsenal. Not really sure where Christian Romero is, to be honest. It's Pat Matar dropping into the box to cover for him, but Havertz likely should have been Christian Romero's man there. Pat Matar. Destiny Udogie on the overlap. Matar squeezes the ball past Bukayo Saka and links up with Destiny Udogie again on this left-hand side. Udogie cuts inside looking for Mathis Tel. Tel twists, turns, creates a bit of space. Can't get the shot away before Declan Rice nips in and steals the ball. Great challenge from Pat Matar again, though. What a performance he's had today. And a break in play. We'll see Xavi Simons and James Maddison make way. Alfie Devine, the youngster, who was impressed so much, especially off the bench this season. His first real season in the senior team for Spurs. We'll see what difference he can make as we chase all 3 points here in the final half an hour or so of the game. Oh, nicely worked. And Gyökeres is in behind. Christian Romero comes across, but fails to win the ball back. It's been poor today, Christian Romero. And with calls in the comment section for Luka Vučković to start every game, I think we probably might need to start listening to them because Christian Romero has not been impressive. Oh, Mathis Tel. Pressing high. Great save from David Raya. And Arsenal work it clear. Tel has been really energetic today. As much defensively as he has going forward. They combined the two there. Stealing the ball from Arsenal pretty much inside their penalty area. And getting the shot away. Tillman once again. Finding Mathis Tel. Udogie. Raskin. Bit of space for Raskin now to curl one from the edge of the box. And I thought it was going to fall for Pat Matasar to grab his second goal. That is not a Tottenham player. That is Bukayo Saka. And we could be in trouble here if Arsenal look to get the ball forward. Udogie trying his best to delay the counter-attack, but I could have sworn Bukayo Saka was wearing a Spurs shirt there. And it does look as though it's going to be a draw. Draw obviously better than a loss, but still we fail to beat Arsenal. We look much, much better this time than we did in the last two North London derbies, though. So not too much going on deadline day. Achraf Hakimi joining Real Madrid, being the marquee signing. In the Premier League, Kenny Tete left for Nice. Malo Gusto left Chelsea for Marseille. Andy Robertson joined Frankfurt, whilst Jacob Murphy made the switch from Newcastle to Leeds. And although it was a quiet window for us too, De Zerbi did make one signing. Though Jed Spence can play on either flank, we've had to rely heavily on Pedro Porro at right back this season. And although he's been a reliable and dependable member of the squad, he does need some backup. And we do need a long-term option at the position. That's why we've brought in 21-year-old Marco Palestra from Atalanta in Serie A. He's a young, modern fullback with pace, stamina, the ability to beat a player one-on-one, and he should be right at home in a De Zerbi system. Pedro Porro playing well, and a series of important fixtures coming up. Not too sure when we'll see Palestra make his debut. We'll be taking on Newcastle, Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Fulham. But it's got us on the back foot early here at Old Trafford. Destiny Udogie giving away a penalty within 10 minutes. Brian and Burmo slotting at home. Burmo looking to cause problems for Destiny Udogie once again. This time he times the tackle perfectly. And Mathis Tel will find Dominic Solanke, who looks for Xavi Simons in space. Very, very good defending by Diogo Dalot, though. Oh, well won by Pedro Porro. Read it perfectly to steal the ball from the United left back. No good options to aim for in the centre, so simply has to turn back to find Pat Matasar. And eventually Mathis Tel looking for a way through. And Malik Tillman will deliver. Unfortunately, Xavi Simons is better positioned than Dominic Solanke, though, who continues to be a non-existent target in the penalty area. He scored 11 goals so far this season, but very few of them have come from balls delivered from out wide. Šeško for United spreads it wide for Brian and Burmo, looking again to take on Destiny Udogie. Instead, Burmo delivers somehow. James Maddison is beat. Whoops. At Matasar. Great strike. Parried away by Senna Lamans, though. United can't prevent it from going out for a corner, which we will deliver with James Maddison. But already 35 minutes into the game, things aren't looking good here at Old Trafford. Things going from bad to worse for Roberto De Zerbi, really. Christian Romero wins the header, but it's a comfortable save from Senna Lamans this time. And Šeško shakes off the challenge of two Spurs defenders and sets Marcus Rashford on his way. What a resurgence he's had this season for United, forcing a really good save from Bart Verbruggen. Was exiled out in La Liga for a little while. But back at Old Trafford. And looking like the Marcus Rashford of old, to be fair. Burmo beats Udogie, beats him again. He's got Udogie in his pocket. Brian and Burmo. And it's another big save from Bart Verbruggen, but United are all over us at the moment. Simons. Destiny Udogie will drive. Will lay it off for James Maddison. With one man to beat, who he does. Strikes towards goal. And the shot goes through bodies. Senna Lahrmann's making the save. Thought James Maddison had pulled one back for us there early in the second half, though. Solanke into the channel. Needs support. Finds that in Pat Matassar. Destiny Udogie. Pulls it back across goal. We've got one back. Pat Matassar. Really nicely worked move. That looked a goal from the second we found Dominic Solanke in the channel. Drive and run from the big centre forward. And then it was nicely worked across the pitch. It was actually Mathis Tel into Xavi Simons and then on to Destiny Udogie and Pat Matassar. He's been excellent in the last 2 or 3 episodes. Gets on the score sheet here to give us hope at Old Trafford. It's only 2-1 now, as poor as we looked in the first half. It is only 2-1. Oh, well won by Pat Matassar, pressing high. Has Xavi Simons ahead of him, who will find Mathis Tel. Will clip it out towards Malik Tillman on the far side. And it's a great save by Lahrmann's. Just tried to curl it into the far corner with Malik Tillman. His time was running out as the United defender came across to close him down. And in the dying moments, Pat Matassar will make way, along with Dominic Solanke. Alejo Veliz, another youngster who's looked very good for us this season, will come on. And how that isn't a foul, I don't know. The United defender using Christian Romero as a ladder there to get up and head away. Bergvall finds Malik Tillman. One last chance to put the ball into the box as Alejo Veliz wins the header and equalises. From absolutely nothing. The youngster scored on his debut a couple of episodes ago. Equalises at Old Trafford. After a dire first half performance. Somehow we're going to come away with a point. We have looked much, much better in the second half, to be fair. And on the balance of things, probably do deserve a point. But the first half was embarrassing. Really, really poor. We're going to need to look much better against Chelsea if we are to progress to the next round of the FA Cup. Kevin Danzo returns to the side for this one, alongside Dejan Kulusevski, who is less than impressed with the minutes he's getting in recent games. We've changed the shape again slightly for this one. Going back to the 4-2-3-1. I feel like a lot of these systems we are trying out are pretty similar. And we're just trying to refine it, just trying to subtly change the shape of the squad to really get the best out of it. And I think even as we embark on the second half of the season, we still haven't managed to do that. One of the bigger changes we've made today too is that we do have Xavi Simons in the number 10 role. We've been using him and Malik Tillman both as wide players this season thus far. But Simons looking to operate just behind Dominic Solanke today. And we'll see if he manages to impress more in that position than he has from wide left, which is where we've mostly been utilising him. He cuts out the ball here. And we'll find Malik Tillman. Dominic Solanke with Dejan Kulusevski far side. And that's excellent tracking back from Marc Cucurella to nab the ball back for Chelsea, who have been enjoying some good possession early in the game. Chelsea looking to turn that possession into some pressure. Marc Cucurella venturing forward from left back. He looked good when we played Chelsea earlier this season, and he's won the header there against Nicholas Raskin to keep the Chelsea pressure on. We just can't get out of our final third at the moment. Every time we win the ball back, Chelsea turn over possession once again almost immediately, and that's nicely worked into the feet of Enzo Fernandez. Destiny Udogie nods it away at the back post. Cole Palmer drives and finds Estevao with a little Travella cross. And somehow we don't manage to clear, and Enzo Fernandez puts Chelsea ahead. I thought we had that covered. Not sure how we failed to clear the ball away at the back post there. It was an outside of the foot cross from Estevao. And I'd be interested to see the replay here. This Pedro Porro just gets dominated in the air. And then it falls for Enzo Fernandez, who gets there before Murillo does. And fires Chelsea ahead. So a couple changes at half-time. Namdi Collins coming on to replace Xavi Simons, who's been really, really poor in that number 10 role. We are trying a 3-4-2-1 again. Roberto De Zerbi going back and forth between systems. Just can't settle on one. Can't seem to find one that really suits the side. Pedro Porro through to Pat Matassar. The ball just about cut out though by Chelsea. Pat Matassar will press high, as will Dominic Solanke. We could do with a quick goal here to begin the second half. As Kulusevski nicks the ball. Headed clear by Chelsea. Kulusevski brings it down. Can't find Destiny Udogie. Just too many Chelsea bodies back to defend. Danzo clips it up to Malik Tillman. Into the feet of Dominic Solanke, who finds the run of Nicholas Raskin. Bursting forward from midfield. We haven't seen it too often from him this season. But we see it here and he equalises. Is that his first goal in a Spurs shirt? I think it might be. Can't remember another Nicholas Raskin goal off the top of my head, but he rarely ventures forward from midfield. Tending to sit back in a holding role or a deep line playmaker role, but you wouldn't have guessed it there. Perfect composure. Does really well to hold off the challenge of the Chelsea defender. I think it's Denzel Dumfries. And then just prods it past Roberto Sanchez. We really could have used an early goal in the second half. That's exactly what we get. And let's see if we can go on and win the game from here. Esteval taking on Murillo. Murillo does an excellent job though. Just calm, composed defending. And there's Nicholas Raskin once again looking to repay the favour to Dominic Solanke, but I think Solanke's just gone a little too soon. And the linesman's flag does go up. Saw the run of Solanke. Just couldn't bring the ball under control with Nicholas Raskin. And by the time we had, Solanke had strayed offside. Cole Palmer. It's a good block from Murillo. And good strength to force the ball out of the penalty area. And Murillo will find Destiny Udogie with another little 1-2 down that left-hand side. Dominic Solanke up in support. Destiny Udogie goes himself. Solanke not really making a great run to try and peel the Chelsea defender away from the on-rushing Destiny Udogie. As we see Chelsea make a change to try and win this game, bringing João Pedro on late. Pedro Porro to deliver the corner though in search of Kevin Danzo. What a goal! And it's been ruled out. I think we were robbed of goal of the series there without doubt. Kevin Danzo in the box, holds off the Chelsea defender. Spectacular overhead kick. Goal of the series. Wiped off the board. Chalked off. Absolutely outrageous. Cole Palmer. Pat Matassar tracking back. Can't prevent Cole Palmer from finding a teammate though. Namdi Collins goes across to try and stop the cross. But in the end it's Murillo who has to head clear. Cucurella. And Cole Palmer with giving him way too much space there. And Chelsea have the lead once again. I thought we'd done a decent job of defending that. But as soon as Cole Palmer finds the ball at his feet, we gave him far too much time to pick a spot and bury it. Murillo slightly slow to come over. Probably shouldn't have been done so easily by Cucurella there. It's actually Kevin Danzo. Shouldn't have been done so easily by Cucurella in the first place. And then Danzo not tight enough to Cole Palmer. Chelsea lead 2-1. The referee's final whistle goes. And we exited the Carabao Cup early. It's going to be a relatively early exit from the FA Cup as well. Not looking great in the Premier League. Obviously not in Europe. Season is going from bad to worse for Roberto De Zerbi. So after a 3-3 draw with Liverpool, we are left with just a single game to salvage the episode, along with our self-respect. Putting our faith in the 3-4-2-1 once again as we travel to Craven Cottage to take on Fulham, with Marco Palestra making his debut for the side out on the right. It's cold, harsh weather here at Craven Cottage. Hopefully we don't leave the game with another cold, harsh response from the fans. Not sure why this has become a thing in FC 26. The CPU team from the kickoff just booting the ball out of play. You see that way more often than makes any kind of sense. Marco Palestra starting wide right for us today, though. We'll have to see what kind of an impact he can make on the team. As James Maddison will look for the young fullback early, who will drive, who will find Mathis Tell, who will strike towards goal. Straight at Bernd Leno, but a positive start with the new young right back involved immediately. Fulham corner, 25 minutes into the game. Palestra will try and head clear. And Bart Verbrugge makes a confident call from behind his defender. Palestra, wide right in acres of space and picked out expertly by Malik Tillman. Palestra drives, Palestra strikes, and Palestra scores on his debut. How many debut goals have we seen this season? Feels very pacey, very twitchy in possession, Marco Palestra. And it was a confident call from Bart Verbrugge to get the attack started at the other end. And once Malik Tillman found the ball at his feet, Palestra was in acres of space. Really calm, really composed, really professional finish from the youngster, who, like so many other youngsters and so many new arrivals, has made an instant impact, putting us one ahead at Craven Cottage. Oh, good strength from James Maddison to hold off the challenge and bring the ball down. He will cut inside, find Rodrigo Bentancur, who can't quite bring the ball under control. Rodrigo Muniz is all alone, and Vuskovic wins the header. Bentancur once again, this time to Jed Spence. And Tillman drives it across the box to Palestri, who almost grabs a second goal at the back post. But Bernd Leno makes the save. Tries to find Muniz again, but once again he's bested in the air by Luka Vuskovic. Maddison, Pat Matasar just gets the pass wrong. And James Maddison has gone down. And he looks to be injured. We've been very, very fortunate with injuries so far this season as Pat Matasar makes up for his earlier mistake. We are using some very, very high injury sliders. If you use my slider set, you'll know we're at 95 frequency and 55 severity. 2-0. Fantastic strength from Mathis Tell to hold off the Fulham defenders, to find a bit of space in the box and fire past Bernd Leno. As I was saying, some very, very high values on the injury sliders, but we've been very, very fortunate to avoid injuries so far this season. And it might be a bittersweet moment here as Mathis Tell doubles our lead, but James Maddison may have to come off the pitch after picking up a knock. Oh, Maddison is in space. He's powering through the injury to get there, and indeed he does get there. Will Maddison grab a goal before he has to leave the pitch? No. Hopefully he hasn't torn his hamstring off the bone, exerting there to make sure he gets to the ball. Pat Matasar. Maddison makes the run once again. Instead we find Rodrigo Bentancur. Palestra is cut inside this time, and it's his turn to twist and turn and almost grab a second goal on his debut and a third goal in the game. Just puts it wide though. Palestra driving, getting away from Fulham defenders once again, and Palestra does grab a second goal. What a performance from the young right back. I'm not sure if Pedro Porro will ever make an appearance in the team again after this performance from the new signing. Looks absolutely lethal going forward. Not sure why he was only credited with one goal there, this being his second in the game. Not sure if maybe his first has gone down as an assist for some reason, or an own goal for some reason. I can't imagine why, but grabs his second goal just before half-time and our third. We are enjoying ourselves in the final game of the episode for once, for a change. De Zerbi is going to continue to tinker through the final months of the season, going back to the 4-3-3 holding formation for our opening game against Leeds. Our primary goal over the remaining games of the season is, of course, to finish in a European place. But a secondary goal is simply going to be to settle on a formation and a system heading into Season 2. It's going to be essential that we know exactly what we're doing heading into next season if we are going to recruit well in the summer and if we are going to kick on and start to really progress under a new manager and start to build for the future. But Bruggen claims, looks for Bentancur early, and Nicholas Raskin can break. He's got runners on both sides as well as Dominic Solanke through the middle. Instead, Raskin turns back inside and finds Bentancur. Xavi Simon's taken up a good position, but marked by two Leeds United defenders. Nicholas Raskin instead will drive, parried away by Lucas Perry. But Dominic Solanke taps home to open the scoring within 10 minutes. Perfect start here against Leeds United. Exactly the kind of start we needed, not only to the game, but to the episode. So we need to start racking up some points here in the Premier League. Nonto takes it down, but the ball cut out by Pedro Porro. Malik Tillman makes an excellent run, and he's found by Dominic Solanke. Really good pass from Solanke just to thread it through to Tillman, who can double the lead. Excellent feat from Malik Tillman to find a little bit of space inside and then tuck it home with his left foot. It's the kind of move that we need to see happen a little bit more often. Pedro Porro cutting it out. Dominic Solanke finds the ball at his feet. Perfect pass through to Malik Tillman. And a clinical finish. Doubles the lead here in the first half. Well won again by Pedro Porro. Wilf Nonto just can't handle our right back at the moment. We saw the new signing Marco Palestri make a big impact at the position in the last episode, but still going to have competition for that spot with Pedro Porro playing the way he is. Deflection on the cross from Malik Tillman, but Dominic Solanke in a dangerous area in the box for once. Solanke out to Xavi Simons, waiting for help. Comes in the form of Destiny Udogie, but Dominic Solanke there once more. Finds Nicholas Raskin, who can curl one from the edge of the box. Wide, but close from Nicholas Raskin. Wouldn't be surprised to see this go just a foot or so wide. Raskin ploughing forward once again. And Pat Matassar finds Rodrigo Bentancur with Malik Tillman in acres of space. And it's a great run from Pat Matassar. This has to be 3, and it is. What a well-worked goal. Finished off by Dominic Solanke, who again has, for once, taken up a good position in the 6-yard box. And he's up to 14 goals. I said at the very start of the series, I don't like the idea of relying on Dominic Solanke to score 25-ish goals a season, but he's going to get close this year by the looks of things. 14 in the Premier League. Not sure what his tally is in the cup competitions, but we're starting to see this team click now. It's exactly the kind of performance that we've needed to kick off the episode. It's exactly the kind of performance we needed for a while now. Hopefully it hasn't come too late in the season. Raskin. Tillman to his right. Can Tillman make it 4 before half-time? He hits the post. Looks absolutely lethal down the right-hand side today, Malik Tillman. It's been a big part of what we've done well going forward. And he was almost rewarded with a goal to close out the first half, to close out a dominant performance in the first half. Leeds really haven't had a look in. Udogie spots the runner Xavi Simons, who's been very quiet. Maybe it's his turn to cut in off his respective flank and grab a goal, though. He can't beat Lucas Perry like Malik Tillman did at the end of the very first half. But start of the second half, we are looking just as dangerous. Leeds looking to grab a goal back, though, and they'll do so via a corner, which is cleared off the line by Murillo. Xavi Simons can't win the second header. Looks like Dominic Calvert-Lewin is on up front for Leeds at this point as well. Solanke switches the ball out to Malik Tillman. Cuts inside onto his right foot this time and curls one from the opposite flank, which produces a fantastic save from Lucas Perry. Xavi Simons has made way for Alfie Devine at this point, with Malik Tillman switching to the opposite flank, but he's dangerous on the left, he's dangerous on the right. Devine Little 1-2 with Conor Gallagher. And now Devine can drive and strike, and he produces another excellent save from Lucas Perry. Perry's been the only difference between 3 goals and 5 or 6 here in the second half. Probably unfair to say he's keeping leads in the game, but he's keeping the scoreline down, that's for sure. We'll get an extended look at Marco Palestra here in the remaining 2 months of the season. He made a big impact on his debut, performing incredibly well and grabbing a goal to top it off. But Pedro Porro's had a solid season too, and Palestra probably would still have struggled to get into the team in these remaining games if it wasn't for that injury to Pedro Porro. But see if Palestra can make that position his own heading into next season. Good interception by Luka Vuskovic. Set Xavi Simons, Rodrigo Bentancur and Pat Matasar on their way. Malik Tillman far side. Just going to dig out across towards Dominic Solanke early. Wasn't quite accurate enough, and Jordan Pickford claims comfortably. Matasar pressing high though. Really should be all 3 points here against Everton. Chelsea and Manchester City will of course be much tougher games, but we need to start the episode strong with all 3 points. And then if we can somehow grab a win against Chelsea as well, I think we give ourselves a really good chance of booking a spot in Europe next season. Bentancur finds Raskin, who in turn finds Udogie. Xavi Simons inside to Nicholas Raskin, who's continued his run forward and opens the scoring 10 minutes into the game. Really nicely worked move down the Everton left. We said we needed a good start to the episode. We've had a very good start to the game at the very least. Raskin's first goal in the Premier League, not his first goal for Tottenham as far as I remember. Pretty sure he grabbed one potentially in a cup competition earlier this season. But he started the move, he finished the move, and we lead 1-0 away from home. Great interception from Nicholas Raskin at the other end now. Another player who has really gone from strength to strength this season. Another of our summer signings who we brought in to try and overhaul the squad somewhat this summer. And he's been one of the first names on the team sheet, really, especially over the last couple of months or so. Not only good defensively, which is his primary role, but as we've seen already in today's game, he can get forward as well. Tillman, again looking for Dominic Solanke in the box, again too close to Jordan Pickford. Barry, shrugging off the challenge of Bentancur and driving. Eventually has to go back to Pavlovic. He works the ball with Njai, and Verbruggen has to come off his line there. The ball surely was there to be collected by Bart Verbruggen, but got caught in no man's land a little bit. Eventually managed to make the save. Everton will take the corner short, and Alcaraz eventually will deliver. Fortunately, Bart Verbruggen can claim, and will spot Xavi Simons in acres of space, one-on-one with the final Everton defender. And again, the close control is just not anywhere near good enough from Xavi Simons. Really poor. I thought that would be his primary strength, really. Driving with the ball at his feet. But he cannot seem to beat a man one-on-one. Fantastic strength from Destiny Udogie. Find Xavi Simons. And pick out Bentancur. Threads it through for Dominic Solanke, and Pat Matasar can't quite get there at the back post. A clinical counter-attack. Everton putting pressure on at the other end. But Destiny Udogie wins the ball back from Ilian Njai and drives forward, holding off the challenges of 2 Everton players before eventually finding Xavi Simons. Another great defensive intervention by Nicholas Raskin, who already, just 20 minutes into the game, looks like man of the match. Everton starting to press to find an equaliser before half-time. James Garner clips it in towards Tieno Barry. Vuskovic does a good job just to stand Tieno Barry up. Dominic Solanke. Find Pat Matasar once again. Clips it wide right to Malik Tillman. Do we have men in the box to aim for? Yes, we do. One of whom is Dominic Solanke, who doubles the lead. And as Everton were looking for an equaliser at the other end, clinical counter-attack, we make it 2-0 away from home. 15th goal in the Premier League this season, Dominic Solanke. It does look like he's going to reach that 25-ish goal tally. I think he has 1 or 2 in the cup competition, so too many goals left to score to at least get close to that 25 goal mark. We kind of bet against him reaching this season. Certainly been better than I expected. Garner finds Njai, who looks dangerous for Everton, to be fair. Might be a player that we want to keep an eye on this summer, potentially. I have 1 or 2 players in mind for this summer transfer window. Can we make it 3 before half-time here with Pat Matasar? Yes, we can. Everton all over the place defensively. And Pat Matasar makes it 3 just 5 minutes after Dominic Solanke had doubled our lead. Everton all over the place, really. Again, it was a nicely worked counter-attack. But it was easy pickings. Everton just so disorganised. Looks like it's going to be a comfortable victory before we even reach the half-time break. Simons looking for Solanke. And it's going to be 4. It's going to be 4 before half-time. Absolute domination here away from home as Pat Matasar grabs his 2nd and our 4th of the game. Everton just unable to get anywhere near us. Just looking to hold the ball, to be honest. Just looking to keep possession and see out the final 5 minutes of the game. But Everton's so disorganised that holes opened up down the left-hand side once again. Dominic Solanke turns creator this time. And Pat Matasar is on a hat-trick. We said in the intro to this video that we only have 1 goal here in the final 2 months of the season. And that is to book a place in Europe. But it's not strictly true. That's not our only goal. Our goal over the last couple of episodes and continuing here until the end of the season is to find a system that suits us. And I think we may have done that. We've been using the 4-3-3 holding system in the last couple of episodes. And we've looked as good in that system as we have in any other. And I would argue we've looked better in this particular system. So I think probably after this performance here today, I think we consider that goal achieved. We continue. Simons tries to make it 5. We continue with this 4-3-3 holding system as our primary shape. And I think we recruit players to fit this system in the summer. Right, McNeil back post, looking to grab a goal back for Everton. Balestra goes out to meet him. Pavlovic, and it's a good block eventually by Pat Matasar to see out the danger. Javi Simons, can he find Malik Tillman far side? Yes, he can. Pat Matasar on a hat-trick, don't forget. Continues his run from midfield. Brings the ball down. It's good defending eventually by the Everton man. Pat Matasar searches for his 3rd goal in the game and what I have to imagine would be his first career hat-trick. Alcaraz twisting, turning. Vuskovic, I think, almost giving away a penalty as Everton looked much better in this second half than they have in the first, and it's a devastating finish from Carlos Alcaraz with only half an hour left to play and still 3 goals behind. The celebrations probably being somewhat over-egged here. Still a long way back for Everton. It's a quality consolation goal, and it's 2. Iliman Njai finds Tiano Barry, and suddenly Everton are back in it. Less than ideal with 20 minutes left to play, but for Bruggen furious with his defenders, and you can see why. Vuskovic just not coming across to mark Tiano Barry anywhere near closely enough, and De Zerbi less than pleased with the complacency in this second half too, and you can understand why. The game should be beyond all doubt, but we've given Everton hope in the second period. There will be a 4-2 victory here away from home to kick off the episode. The dominant first half, juxtaposed slightly with a maybe complacent second half, at least for the first 15-20 minutes of the second period, where we gave Everton a hope and a dream that really they shouldn't have had. But overall, very, very good performance. Very, very good result. And should hopefully give us a bit of momentum heading into the final 6 games. Chelsea just 2 points and 2 places above us in the Premier League, occupying that very final European spot. I think this could arguably be our biggest game of the season. I think this game is especially important because Chelsea have that game in hand over us. So if we can come away with all 3 points, then we'll go a point ahead of Chelsea and we'll force them to, you know, really do something with that game in hand to make sure that they can leapfrog us back up into that Conference League spot once again. Newcastle, of course, are going to have a say in who finishes in those final European spots this season too. Alfie Devine, the youngster, finds Marco Palestra. Will drive at Cucurella. Flip it back towards Nicholas Raskin, who again is making one of those late runs into the box. Looks so good in that box crasher roll. Raskin. Space to turn and drive. Hurdles the challenge of Lavia. Tries to find Malik Tillman, but he's gone too early and is indeed offside. Linesman's flag was always going up there. Just needed Malik Tillman to hold his run slightly because he was very well positioned. He just turns and sprints a little too soon. Solanke wants to thread it through the gap for Malik Tillman, and he's done just that. He's one-on-one with Denzel Dumfries, who eventually manages to recover. He's just shaping to strike the ball across goal with Malik Tillman. But Dumfries, quick enough, strong enough to get back in position and prevent the shot. Great challenge. Destiny Udogie nicks the ball from Pedro Neto. Can break down this left-hand side. Neto again, quick enough, strong enough to stop the counter-attack. But Malik Tillman will find Dominic Solanke in space. And again, he's just going to have to strike across goal. And he finds the far corner and gives us the lead at Stamford Bridge. 16 goals now in the Premier League for Dominic Solanke. Malik Tillman involved down the left as well. It all started with that excellent defensive intervention from Destiny Udogie. Really good finish from Dominic Solanke. Nicholas Raskin again in the box making a nuisance of himself. It's a great finish from Solanke across Robert Sanchez into the far corner. And we lead at Stamford Bridge in arguably the most important game of the season. Now we have to defend. Cannot get complacent like we did against Everton. Palestra can't win the ball back. Alfie Devine tracks back. Cucurella, we've seen him score from a similar position against us this season. But it's a big save from Bart Verbruggen to keep us ahead. And Tankur drives. Lavia's challenge. Nowhere close to the ball. Big cross from Destiny Udogie, but it goes all the way across the penalty area. Finds Dominic Solanke in the far corner. Pat Matassar can't quite twist and turn to find Nicholas Raskin on the edge of the box. Have to make sure Chelsea can't break here. I think we've done enough to stop the counter-attack. Pedro Neto take on Destiny Udogie and whip the ball across the face of goal! How have we not conceded there? Firstly, how did Vuskovic not win the header? He was well positioned. He's absolutely enormous. Yet somehow he gets beaten in the air. Bounces back off the bar. I thought it was going to hit the backside of Bart Verbruggen's head and go in. But he manages to grab the ball before it goes over the line. Nicholas Raskin has just taken on about 4 Chelsea midfielders there and beaten them all. Malik Tillman spots Dominic Solanke, who doubles the lead, and he's offside. Absolute roller coaster. Absolute roller coaster of emotions. Almost concede in bizarre fashion at one end. Almost double our lead at the other end. Dominic Solanke drifts offside. Remains 1-0. Divine. One-on-one with Mark Cucurella instead. Finds Marco Palestra, who drives. And eventually Adarabioyo has to come across and concede the corner, as we see how close we came to conceding a goal just moments ago. Verbruggen nabbing the ball before it crossed the line. Don't really want Malik Tillman taking this, to be honest. He's pretty big and imposing himself. So is somewhat dangerous in the box. But is certainly a presence on the edge of the box if not. Chelsea deal with the corner well. Doggy nods it down. And Murillo find Palestra at the very end of the first half here. And Alfie Devine gives up possession far too easily. And we just have to see out these last couple of minutes and make it to half-time 1-0 up. And I think that will give us a really good chance of going on to grab all 3 points here in the second half. Really, really pleased with the first half performance though. It's been excellent defensively. We've been good going forward. Not spectacular, but clinical. And we took the one clear-cut chance that we had, something that Chelsea haven't managed to do themselves. Lat, edge of the box, curls one towards the bottom corner. But Verbruggen was scrambling. I'm not sure he had it covered. Thankfully, it goes narrowly wide. Chelsea starting to press incredibly high now. Really starting to chase the game. We managed to work through the press though, and I think potentially that could work in our favour. As holes, of course, will be opened up the more that Chelsea look to press. Sarr, Bentancur, Destiny Udogie in space. It's straight down the throat of Robert Sanchez. And Tosin Adrabayo can hook clear. I think now is about the time that we look to just hold on to this 1-goal lead. So big changes for Roberto De Zerbi. Dropping into a flat back 5 for the remaining 15, 20 minutes or so of this game. Just looking to hold on to a clean sheet and therefore to all 3 points. Pedro Neto, one-on-one with Murillo. It's good defending from Murillo. Fantastic defending. Just to hold his position expertly to prevent Pedro Neto from being able to cut inside. But also taking the pass to Cole Palmer away as well. Really calm, composed, professional defending from Murillo. It's been a calm, composed, professional performance all around, to be fair, and that does see us to victory here at Stamford Bridge. Just a single goal. But we didn't show the same complacency in the second period here today that we showed against Everton in the opening game of the episode. We had a dominant performance in the first half of that game. Certainly not a dominant performance here. In fact, Chelsea would have edged possession, would have edged shots on goal. But we took advantage of a clear-cut opportunity in the first half. We held on to that single goal. And we're walking away with all 3 points once again. Which means we have leapfrogged both Chelsea and Newcastle to take 6th place in the Premier League, occupying a European spot for, I believe, the first time this season. But we face our toughest test of the episode here against Manchester City. Man City chasing not only a European spot, but the league title, currently sitting in 2nd position in the Premier League. Doku looking to get things going early. It's on Palestra, and Nuri puts it into the box in search of Erling Haaland. Certainly take a point here. We're looking for all 3 against Everton and really against Chelsea. I would certainly settle for a point at home against Manchester City. I think that point would go a long way, to be honest. Haaland in space. Doku the same. Manchester City 1-0 up. I think it's going to be a long day, to be honest. 19 goals this season, Jeremy Doku. Jesus. That's more than a goal every other game. City fans enjoying themselves. And I think it is going to be a long day. I said I'd like a point. I don't really see us getting a point, to be honest. So just a cameo appearance from Christian Romero, who has to make way for Namdi Collins. And I imagine that injury is probably going to see Romero out for the remainder of the season. Been a focus of transfer talk over the last month or two, so we'll see if a move for Romero materialises this summer. Cherky. Murillo stops the cross. Haaland in space again though, and Doku makes it too. Not too sure how, to be honest. I thought we were fairly well positioned at the back post there with Marco Palestra. But Doku somehow managed to find his way to the ball and somehow managed to find the back post. I mean, we've got position there, have we not, with Palestra? We're in front of Jeremy Doku. Not sure how he's got there first. Solanke lays it off for Nicholas Raskin. Just wide. Number of opportunities here to begin the game, though. Most of them, to be fair, going Manchester City's way, but that's narrowly wide by Nicholas Raskin. Tillman finds Xavi Simons. That's a great run from Pat Matassar, who brings it down and puts it wide again. Almost a carbon copy of the Nicholas Raskin shot in terms of, you know, the corner that was being aimed for and how close it was to going in. Not a carbon copy of the chance necessarily, but we are asking questions of Manchester City. Need to put one of these chances in the back of the net if we are to come away with anything from this game, but at the moment, again, it's looking like it's going to be a long day and probably not our day. Solanke, head down, drives. Now we have a goal back. Now we are back in the fixture. It's been a pretty frantic start to the game, to be honest. City dominant early, take their first two opportunities. And really, I mean, it should probably be 3-2 to us, to be honest. The Raskin and the Sarr chances coming so close, but Solanke does finally grab one back. Gallagher. Dominic Solanke wide left now. Interesting position taken up. Finds Pat Matassar. And it's a great save by Donnarumma. Pat Matassar put one on a plate for Dominic Solanke. He tried to return the favour. Pat Matassar couldn't bury it like Solanke could, though. That's a poor pass from Nicholas Raskin. We haven't seen him give away possession too often here today, but he does so there in really, really poor fashion. Solanke spots Xavi Simons wide right. Can have his work cut out for him if he's going to beat Brian Knight-Nuri. Does manage to cut inside, though. Finds the overlapping run of Pat Matassar, who squares from Malik Tillman. 2-2. 2-2. What a move. All started by Dominic Solanke. Xavi Simons actually makes an impact on a game for once. And Pat Matassar arriving levels the scoring. Looked like it was going to be a long, arduous, difficult day here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But instead, before half-time, we come from 2-0 down to level the scoring. Solanke through to Tillman. Could we be 3-2 up before half-time? And we are! Donnarumma gets a hand to it, but can't keep it out. Oh, what a turnaround here in the first half. 2 goals from Malik Tillman. As we come from 2-0 down to go 3-2 up against Manchester City. It's a poor finish from Tillman, really, but it's an even worse save. Ruben Diaz getting all turned around by the run from Malik Tillman. It's a solid enough hand to it from Donnarumma, but his large frame can't get down quickly enough to keep the ball out. And we know that Roberto De Zerbi is something of a favourite of Pep Guardiola. Maybe not after today. Malik Tillman. Xavi Simons ahead of him. Dominic Solanke the same. Solanke brings it down. Can he make it 4? Yes, he can. 6 goals in a first half that sees us 4-2 up against Manchester City. Unreal first half of football here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Where has this kind of football been all season? Spurs fans have been punished, let's say, throughout Roberto De Zerbi's first season in charge. But it's starting to come together here at the end of season 1. And it's starting to look like we could take 9 points from 9 in today's episode and put ourselves in a fantastic position to grab a European spot in the last episode. Knight-Nuri looking to change that at the end of the first half, and it's great defending by Marco Palestri. Haaland grabs one back. Really, really bad. Really, really poor defending. And really, really loose. Careless in our own penalty area. Gives Haaland the opportunity. And he takes it, and it's now 4-3. Really poor. Murillo pops it into Conor Gallagher, who just tries to lay it off to Namdi Collins to clear. And instead he leaves his centre-back high and dry. City pressing incredibly high now to try and grab another goal back in this game to equalise. And again, we've given the ball away. We've gifted possession back to City. But flooding players forward. It's a great challenge by Nicholas Raskin. Unfortunately, Erling Haaland wins it straight back. And it's a perfect ball in. And City do equalise. We came from 2 down to equalise before then going 2 goals up. And City, unfortunately, have done the same as us. Come from 2 goals down to grab an equaliser in the game. And, I mean, momentum is with City, so I don't want to say it looks like we're going to take a point away just yet, because they could easily grab a winner in the final 10 minutes. But there will be points shared here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. A crazy game. Don't see too many games like this in the Premier League anymore. But maximum entertainment, if not maximum points. Goal is, of course, to qualify, if possible, for the Champions League, if not for the Europa League. But I think most likely we're going to have to settle for a Conference League spot this season, if anything. With so much on the line in the last 4 games, we are utilising the big match feature on our realistic team selection tool. So pretty much selecting our strongest 11 from here on out. And the strongest 11 get the job done in the opening game against Wrexham. Dominic Solanke with a brace to take his tally, I think, to 20 goals on the season in the Premier League. Xavi Simons picking up form as well with a goal. And Christian Romero, potentially playing his final 4 games for Spurs, gets on the score sheet with 10 minutes to go. Which means it is 5th versus 6th as we take on Crystal Palace at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where Roberto De Zerbi makes just a single change to the starting 11. Rodrigo Bentancur coming in for Conor Gallagher. I'm not sure we've played a bigger game than this in the series so far. Champions League, Europa League, Europa Conference League, all possibilities. And not only is today's match potentially going to decide our league position for the season, but it could well dictate our transfer policy this summer as well. Adam Wharton, a player who's been mentioned heavily in links to Spurs in the upcoming transfer window. And if we want to sign him, as Jeremy Pina gets in behind early, Sosa looking to cross. Jeremy once more. Leicester goes out to meet him. Justin Devaney actually playing ahead of Adam Wharton today, who I must assume is injured. Doesn't even feature on the bench. But if we want a shot at signing Adam Wharton this summer, you better believe we have to finish above Crystal Palace. If they make the Champions League and we don't, there's absolutely no reason Adam Wharton should want to sign for us. A bright start from Crystal Palace. They've probably overperformed this season, you would have to say. Up in 4th, 5th, 6th position throughout the majority of the season. Destiny Udogie looks to get our first attack underway. Nicholas Raskin strikes. Had Dean Henderson scrambling. But the shot wide. Dean Henderson likely had it covered. Couple of defenders in position to make the block as well, including Murillo's former teammate Milinkovic from Nottingham Forest. A Crystal Palace signing in the summer, along with Jack Grealish, who doesn't feature in the starting 11 but does feature on the bench. Rodrigo Bentancur. Malik Tillman wide right. Bentancur just drives. And this, I remember from earlier in the season, this was a feature of Crystal Palace's gameplay and their tactical approach to the game. They do like to sit off. So I think Bentancur, Nicholas Raskin, Pat Matassar are going to have a chance to get involved on the edge of the box today. Mateta Wide right to Brennan Johnson, former Tottenham Hotspur player, of course. Spent too long at Spurs, but long enough for the home fans to remember him. Been a fairly cagey start to the game. Both teams spending a good amount of time in the opposition final third, but playing fairly risk-averse when they get there. Murillo. It's Palestra. Xavi Simons, wide right. Matasar in a bit of space now. And Nicholas Raskin makes the break. Dominic Solanke in space, can't quite turn and shoot. It's a fantastic late intervention from the Palace centre-back. Xavi Simons wins it high, though. Look for Solanke in the box. It's a poor cross, but penalty surely. How is that not a penalty? The Palace defender let it bounce just in front of the 6-yard box, and it goes all the way through to Malik Tillman, who looked as though he had a certain sight on goal. Gets completely wiped out by the Palace defender, and the referee does absolutely nothing about it. The Palace man did not get the ball there. How we haven't got a penalty there, I have no idea. The Palace could well go up the other end and score. Will Hughes. Bentancur back to defend. Pat Matasar the same. If we concede here, I will be absolutely furious. Veni. Good little spell of possession from Palace. This is what I mean, though. Camped in our final third, but fairly risk-averse when they get there. Destiny Udogie can't stop the cross. Murillo heads clear, though. And it's good strength from Destiny Udogie. And Bentancur can finally work the ball free. Palace again, though, by Brennan Johnson. Murillo dragged out of position. Bentancur dropping into cover for him. Palace dig out the cross. Christian Romero heads clear. And it's a great interception by Destiny Udogie. Can he find Malik Tillman? Yes, he can. Xavi Simons nowhere to be seen, but Bentancur is up in support. Pat Matasar. A great run from Tillman on the far side. Cuts in onto his right foot. Curls one towards the top corner. What a goal, Malik Tillman. He has gone from strength to strength this season. Took him a couple of episodes to get going. But once he did, he's just grown and grown and grown, especially when we put him in that left wing position. And what a goal this is. Exactly 18 yards out. Dean Henderson, no chance. Palace were pressuring, but we take the lead at home, 1-0. We are going to have to be very, very careful when Palace do attack. They're playing a 5-2-3 today, and they are pushing their fullbacks high. So Destiny Udogie, Palestra on the far side. They are going to be outnumbered. They're going to be facing overloads frequently, 2 against 1 between the wing-back and the winger. And the good thing about Palace sitting back so much is it means we can just enjoy possession. Look at the amount of space that our centre-backs, Murillo, Christian Romero, have on the halfway line. The amount of space that Nicholas Raskin has when he drops in slightly to collect. We'll have to see how long Palace go before they do start to press a little higher, because they are, of course, the ones chasing the game now. Raskin, Bentancur, nice run from Tillman, who brings it down, shifts onto his right foot once again, and doubles the lead. We are picking Palace apart. We had to weather the early storm. Looked as though Palace might take the lead early on in the game. They didn't create any clear-cut opportunities, to be fair, but they were enjoying a lot of possession. They were camped out in our final third. But Malik Tillman has turned the game on its head. We've really settled into the game. And it looks as though we're going to go into the half-time break. Not just a goal up, but 2 goals up. Malik Tillman on a hat-trick. The game is not yet won, though. We have made a bit of a habit of becoming complacent in the second half this season. We did so in the last episode. We were 4-0 up against Everton. We conceded 2 completely unnecessary goals in the second half to make the game seem a lot closer than it was. We have to avoid doing that here against Crystal Palace. Xavi Simons drives, gets to the byline, can't quite pull it back. And I think that means we have to be ruthless. We have to continue to hunt for goals. Even though we're 2 up, I think we have to continue to hunt for a third. So we will do here with Nicholas Raskin. Lays it off for Destiny Udogie. Swings a ball into the box. It's not a bad cross. But Crystal Palace defender fairly well positioned to narrow the angle. Oh, and look at Murillo bursting forward from his centre-back position. He has certainly taken on those instructions from Roberto De Zerbi to be aggressive in the second half. And he creates the opportunity for the third goal that surely seals it. Dominic Solanke, he had indeed gone to 20 goals in the Premier League against Wrexham. Goes to 21 now. I bet against Dominic Solanke at the start of the season. I said, he's not scoring 25 to 30 goals. Looks like he's going to. He's going to come very, very close if he doesn't reach that 25 mark. I think he's got 1 or 2 in the Cups. 21 in the Premier League now. He's had a really, really good season, to be fair. I think betting against him was the right thing to do. Gave him some fire in his belly to prove us wrong. And he's done exactly that. 3-0 Spurs, waltzing to victory. And with that, we will just sit back and defend the lead for the final half an hour. Luka Vuskovic, Archie Gray, each coming on. Dropping into a 5-4-1 formation, just to give those fullbacks a little more protection as Palace continue to push their own wing-backs high. Oh, Jean-Philippe Mateta is in behind, but Verbruggen's going to have to make a big save here, and he can't. As soon as we drop into the 5 at the back, there's miscommunication between the centre-backs, which we've seen frequently when we've played 3 at the back. The 5 at the back formation, oh Jesus, 23 goals. I thought Dominic Solanke had a good season, but Christian Romero immediately switches off. As soon as we switch to 3 centre-backs, things start to fall apart. I think we've learned our lesson. I had high hopes for something like a 3-4-2-1 to be the shape in this particular series. It's just not working out for us. 2 minutes to go in the game. I just overheard the stadium announcer tell us who man of the match was. And apparently it's number 30, Rodrigo Bentancur. How that is the case, I have no idea. Malik Tillman's been absolutely dominant today. Bentancur's done very little. I mean, fair enough. As long as we get the 3 points, that is all that matters. And all 3 points is all but a formality now. Just moments left in the game. The Lee's on up top to press Chris Richards high. But Palace need an absolute miracle from here. I don't think that miracle is going to be forthcoming. I think we are going to leapfrog Crystal Palace. They do still have a game in hand. And this will only take us 2 points ahead of them. I believe we are a point behind Palace at the moment. So a win here would put us 2 points ahead. They would still be able to leapfrog us with a win in their game in hand. But it is a 3-1 victory at home. The Spurs supporters have been liking what they've seen more and more from the home side as the season has progressed. It's been a painful watch at times for the Spurs fans. But it was anything but today. And as we head into the very final game of the season, disappointingly, we only managed to draw against Brentford. However, I think a draw against Middlesbrough in the final game would guarantee us Conference League football at the very least. That would take us to 63 points. Even if Palace were to win their game, we have a far better goal difference than they do, so we would hang on to 6th place. A victory would take us to 65 points, all the way up to 4th place in the Premier League. But of course, Chelsea and Manchester United have their own games to play as well. And it looks as though United are taking on Sunderland, Chelsea are taking on Bournemouth. It is very much a long shot. We are on the outside looking in when it comes to the Champions League and the Europa League. But all we need is a point against Middlesbrough to guarantee European football of some kind. We are, of course, continuing with the high-stakes match type for this one. This match, the highest stakes of them all. That means 2 changes for the starting 11 for this one. Jed Spence coming in at left back, and the bold decision put James Maddison in ahead of the in-form Pat Matasar. Maddison recently returning from injury. But it all comes down to this. Looks as though we've done enough to qualify for Europe next season. Would very much prefer the Champions League to the Conference League, though. Both are still a possibility, and the Europa League as well. I fancy our chances to get at least a point here against Middlesbrough, although we are away from home. Middlesbrough with... To be honest, I'm not sure if they have anything to play for in this final game of the season. So Mario cuts it out early. Possibly should have looked to see if Middlesbrough are safe or if they're still playing for their Premier League survival. Malik Tillman drives. Jed Spence, the same. Simply has to turn back. Finds Rodrigo Bentancur, Nicholas Raskin, and James Maddison, the surprise inclusion today. Good run from Bentancur, who lofts it up into the box. Again, a good cross. But too close to the keeper. As I was saying, I do fancy our chances of getting at least a point away from home. That would guarantee us Europe. Europe is not guaranteed as it stands. It does require at least a draw. And I do fancy us to go on and grab all 3 points. We're one of the informed sides, really, in the Premier League at the moment. Arguably the most informed side, potentially. Last 2 months or so have been excellent after an up and down season. Poor positioning from Maddison. But really, I mean, on paper, we should come away with all 3 points. Even then, we are not guaranteed Champions League. We are not guaranteed Europa League. Even with all 3 points, as Borough, is the linesman's flag up? Oh my God, it is. Thank God for that. Looked as though we were a goal down within 10 minutes. We have to sharpen up if we're going to avoid losing this game. And that's so narrow. So narrow. Offside by the width of his forehead. But as I was saying, even all 3 points wouldn't guarantee us anything more than Conference League football. That does depend on the outcome of Chelsea and Manchester United's games. Maddison, Raskin. Flips it wide to Xavi Simons. Cuts inside. Into his left foot. Malik Tillman in a dangerous spot on the edge of the box, but it's a good block by the Borough defender. Middlesbrough defended well in the opening 10 minutes or so. But based on Malik Tillman's recent form, it's only a matter of time before he manages to break them down. Maddison collects. Solanke up ahead of him. With Malik Tillman wide left, and I thought Tillman was all on his own. I didn't see the Borough defender there. My eyes widened a little bit there. Because I thought Malik Tillman was in behind, but there was a Borough defender just lurking off screen. Whittaker. Jed Spence. Another somewhat surprise inclusion. He and Destiny Udogie are fairly well matched in terms of overall, in terms of their... Another narrow offside. In terms of their skill, their capacity, what they can offer the team. Udogie has been more favoured by the team selection tour this season, though, and he's been playing very well, to be fair. Been a consistent presence at left back. And he is just a slightly easier inclusion because of the fact that he is left-footed. Spence a good player in his own right, though. Finds Malik Tillman. Inside to Bentancur. James Maddison, who can drive, shape to strike with his left foot. He's really going to have to earn his inclusion today because Pat Matasar has certainly earned his inclusion over the last, well, 3-4 months now. It's been incredible. Really since the calendar ticked over. And it's very much a surprise exclusion to not see Pat Matasar in the side. Solanke drives. Xavi Simons collects. Palestra with the run, and it's a great run from Malik Tillman, and Solanke opens the scoring. Borough put it in the back of the net at the other end. That one was chalked off. This one won't be. Dominic Solanke's 22nd goal in the Premier League. And it could well be a goal that pushes us into the Europa or even the Champions League. It's a great run from Malik Tillman across the 6-yard box that made it possible. A good run from Palestra as well, to be fair, to get up in support of Xavi Simons. And then pull it across to Malik Tillman. But it was the run from his left wing position all the way across the 6-yard box that dragged the defenders with him. Gave space for Dominic Solanke to position himself to tap home the rebound. It's exactly what he manages to do. And this is exactly the start that we needed. Rode our luck a little bit in the opening 10 minutes or so, especially with that extremely narrow offside call. But let's go on to win the game from here. Barra in behind. It's a great cross as well. And the header goes narrowly wide. It's a really good cross from Whittaker. And again, Barra have exposed us. It's a really good run across the face of Christian Romero just to get in position to win the header against our centre-back. But Barra continue to look dangerous, to be fair to them. Defence. Tillman in acres of space. Got Xavi Simons on the far side and even more. Finds Simons. And Raskin clips it wide. Left to Malik Tillman, who cracks the post. Did you see the movement on that shot? Tillman just brings it down, puts his left foot through it. And that ball was moving. Wobbled from left to right, then back again. We were so close to being 2-0 up. Just 5 minutes from half time. Have to make sure we don't concede at the other end now. And that's a great challenge from James Maddison. Not what he is in the side to do by any means, but we will certainly take it if he's willing to make those kinds of interventions. Simons finds Jed Spence. Oh, he's looking for Malik Tillman, who's taken up a good position, to be fair, but cut out by Barra. Maddison drifted wide right. It's inside and finds Nicholas Raskin. Rodrigo Bentancur. It's a great run from Dominic Solanke. And what a goal that is. What a goal that is. Dominic Solanke doubles the lead. Up to 23 goals on the season now. He is desperate not only to score 25, but to score 25 in the Premier League. And that was a really nicely worked goal. Look at that ball over the top from Bentancur. I think we found our midfield trio. Nicholas Raskin. I prefer Pat Matasar. I know James Maddison's been given the nod today. I know he's a higher overall. He's got more play styles. He looks like he should be better. But Pat Matasar is just a better fit for our midfield. Maddison is having a good game, to be fair. We've drifted out wide right to get that attack started. He's made some excellent defensive interventions today as well. That's the perceived downside of having James Maddison in the side, or on paper what should be the downside, is that Nicholas Raskin and Rodrigo Bentancur should have to do the defensive heavy lifting for him, but he is actually being the standout defensively today. So back out for the second half. 2-0 up away from home. Looks like we are going to somewhat saunter to victory once again. And we have to hope that either Bournemouth or Sunderland have done us a favour and taken points from Chelsea or United. It's a long shot for sure. Probably a bit of a pipe dream, to be honest. But this does at least mean that we've secured European football next season. 3-0. 3-0. We will saunter to victory once again. Why not? Dominic Solanke and Malik Tillman just cannot be contained. Cannot be contained. I think if we add another player to that midfield, play alongside the likes of, or to work into the rotation alongside Raskin, Bentancur, Pat Matasar, James Maddison. If we find a right winger to play opposite Malik Tillman and beside Dominic Solanke up front, I think we could really be a force to be reckoned with next season. We've gone from strength to strength in the last couple of months. Really found our feet in this 4-3-3 system with the player roles that we have in the midfield trio, the personnel that we have in the midfield trio. Malik Tillman playing so well in that inside forward position. Really, I think the only weak link in the side now is right wing. Xavi Simons just isn't cutting it out there. We don't really have anybody else who we can play ahead of him. Nicely worked between Tillman and Raskin. That's got to be a foul. That's also got to be a foul. Referee gives one of them. Can't imagine we will score from this, though. It's been impossible to score from free kicks, corners, any kinds of set pieces this year. It's actually fairly close from Malik Tillman. I don't hate the effort. Up and down over the wall, but narrowly wide as Borough make a change. Borough grab one back. I've made the rookie mistake that I always make, failing to commentate the opposition attack until the ball is in the back of the net. But 3-1, as it was in the Crystal Palace game. We go 3-0 up and then concede a late goal. Again, I don't think it's going to be enough to change the outcome of this game. I still see us going on to victory, but really do need to be better about commentating opposition attacks. I tend to just stand there and watch. And then when the ball is in the back of the net, suddenly I remember, oh, I should be talking here. Madison brings it down, finds Raskin to drive and strike. Carried away by the Borough keeper and hooked clear before it goes out for a corner. Murillo will win this header, though. Raskin could potentially try again. It doesn't get the shot away quick enough. Pat Matassar will make his appearance on the final game of the season after all. He comes on for James Maddison. Mathis Tell comes on as well. He's featured very little over the last couple of episodes. Dominic Solanke obviously has just been in incredible goal-scoring form. And Alejo for Lees is a little more suited to being the true number 9. And he's looked good since making his debut earlier in the season as well. So he's been getting some chances to come on off the bench. Not too sure where Mathis Tell fits in necessarily. I mean, we can certainly play him through the middle as the out-and-out striker. Not like he's incapable of playing in that position. The left wing position belongs to Malik Tillman. And he's not really suited to the right wing position. We want more of a true winger on that side rather than an inside forward like Malik Tillman. Cutting inside. Whittaker once again. One-on-one with Jed Spence. Digs out a cross towards the back post, but Marco Palestra gets up well. He's deceptively good in the air, Marco Palestra. Quite a small right back. Fairly slight as well. But he gets up well. Wins his fair share of headers. This could be where we get in behind. I think Mathis Tell has overcooked the pass slightly, though, and he has. Malik Tillman can't get there. There's 10 minutes left to play, though, before we see the results from around the league and see what our fate is for next season. And just as we feared, it was a little too much to ask for Sunderland or Bournemouth to get a win. And Chelsea, therefore, finish in 4th position, that final Champions League spot. Manchester United grabbed a win in their game as well. They finish in 5th in the Europa League, which means we only make the Europa Conference League. But if you were to offer me that, say at the midpoint of the season, I certainly would have taken it. 17 wins on the season, 14 draws gives us 65 points, 69 goals scored, 46 goals conceded. Not bad totals at all. They're certainly not in the realm of the 80 goal mark that Liverpool, Arsenal have reached, but they're right in the range of these European teams. And we've actually conceded fewer goals than the likes of Brentford, Crystal Palace, and we're kind of on par in terms of goals conceded with those teams around us as well. Dominic Solanke, a massive contributor to those goals that we scored. It was just 23 goals total, all in the Premier League. I was wrong. He hadn't scored any in either of the cup fixtures, despite playing 4 games in the 2 competitions. 5 assists on the season as well. I think it's an excellent season from Dominic Solanke. Really, really happy with him. Malik Tillman, equally excellent. He's actually improved by 2 overall this season, up to an 85. 10 goals, 11 assists for 21 total goal contributions in his debut season for the club. Incredible performance. Mathis Tell, actually our 3rd highest goal scorer with 7 after playing 29 games. Many of those are going to be off the bench as well. Pat Matassar, 6 and 5, 11 goal contributions for a box-to-box midfielder is not bad at all. Disappointing first season for Xavi Simons, though. 11 goal contributions in total it just didn't feel like he's had too much of an impact on games, to be honest. James Maddison spent some time out injured. But again, it's been outperformed by Pat Matassar. And how much of a role he has next season, I'm not too sure. Will Lancashire had a great start to the season out on loan at Wolves, but looks like he's barely played since then. Udogi's been great. Nicholas Raskin has been great. Luka Vuskovic even popped up with a couple of goals. And if we do see Christian Romero leave this summer, Vuskovic, a ready-made replacement. Looking at the realistic team selection tool, we can see who our standout players were over the course of the season. Average form, we've got Raskin leading the way with a 6.68. Malik Tillman, our second best player, 6.63. We have Udogi, Solanke, and Pedro Porro making up the top 5. Got a tricky situation to navigate next season with Pedro Porro and Marco Palestra. Porro being an excellent, consistent player for us throughout the year, but for his MCL towards the end of the season, Palestra, the young new signing, burst onto the scene and immediately looked fantastic. We can also see the standout players who really urged us on towards Europe at the end of the season. That midfield trio we've spoken about so much in recent episodes, Bentancur, Sarr, and Raskin, with the best recent form over the last 5 games. Malik Tillman and Dominic Solanke right there again as well. Looking at the squad ahead of next season, I think we look really strong in this 4-3-3 holding system. Wouldn't be surprised to see Christian Romero leave the club this summer, so I think Vuskovic and Murillo is likely going to be our centre-back pairing heading into next season. We're 2 deep at left-back with Udogi and Jed Spence. Spence can, of course, play right-back as well, but we're 2 deep there as well with Pedro Porro and Marco Palestra. Kevin Danzo still in the squad. Archie Gray can even play along the back line. We've got Takai, we've got Dragusin. We look really deep across the back line, even if we lose Christian Romero. Spoken at length about the midfield trio. I think the 2 weaknesses in the squad, as I mentioned earlier, this deep line playmaker on the left of our midfield 3 and the right wing in Xavi Simons just isn't cutting it, just isn't getting it done. What we do with Xavi Simons next season, I'm not sure. Dominic Solanke, excellent. We have Mathis Tel and Alea Veliz behind him. Potentially we need to add another striker to deepen the ranks, especially if we're going to be playing in 4 competitions as well. Premier League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, and the Europa Conference League too. Malik Tillman has made the left wing position his own. We do, of course, have the likes of Mikey Moore, Wilson Odobert, who probably is more of a fit out on the right-hand side. And it's potentially an option to move Mathis Tel out to left wing as well. So if we do that, then, of course, we will need to add another striker to the side, unless we feel like Will Lancashire is ready to make the step up to the first team. I have some transfer targets in mind for those 2 positions at the very least, left centre midfield and right wing. Haven't really thought about striker just yet, but get some suggestions in the comments below. Names of players that you think we should pursue this summer. To put a bow on season 1, it was, of course, a fairly difficult start, but I think ultimately it's been a successful season. We finally found a system that suits us. We are going to be in Europe next season, and we've put ourselves in a position to continue to grow, continue to develop, and potentially to take on the big boys in season 3, season 4, and beyond. But that'll do it for season 1 of our realistic Tottenham Hotspur career mode. Hope to see you in the next one. Take it easy.